Good afternoon. This is a convening of the Massachusetts Gaming Commission for purposes of quarterly reports. Today is July 22nd, 2025. It's approximately 12:10 p.m. I am the reason we are late. I'm Jordan Maynard. I serve as chair. We're holding this meeting virtually, and so we will do a roll call. Good afternoon, Commissioner O'Brien.
Good afternoon. I'm here.
Good afternoon, Commissioner Hill.
Good afternoon. I'm here.
Good afternoon, Commissioner Skinner.
Good afternoon.
And good afternoon, Commissioner Broder.
I am here, sir.
All right. So as discussed, we're going to do some quarterly updates. And for that, I'm going to turn it over to Chief Carrie Teresi, the Director of Sports Wagering.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair and Commissioners. I am actually going to turn it right over to Compliance and Operations Manager Stefan, who will walk us through the agenda today.
Thanks, Carrie. Good afternoon, Commissioners. We are back again with our operators as they will report on their first quarter metrics. And just a quick note before we get started, we do have executive sessions built into the agenda for each individual operator, should you deem that necessary. But with that, we'll get started right away with Caesar Sportsbook, and I will turn it right over to Lisa Rakin. Lisa?
Good morning. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Carrie. Curtis is performing his civic duty today, so I will be pitch hitting for him. Thank you for the opportunity to present our Q1 2025 quarterly report. I'm going to share my screen now, so please let me know if you can see it. Hold on one sec. There we go.
Lisa, do you need some help?
I was going to same thing, Commissioner
I think
Skinner.
I'm almost there, Commissioner. Sorry about this.
I always toe the line, Commissioner Skinner, of not wanting to put pressure on the person who's having an issue, but also wanting to help. So thank you.
Yeah.
Especially since I have my own tech issues this morning. Oh, we've got it.
All right. And you can see the full one there?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right. To start, we'll look at our revenue for Q1. As shown on this slide, we were fairly balanced compared to Q4. In the month of February, there was a slowdown of the sports calendar between Super Bowl and March Madness. Not included on this slide, but comparatively to Q1 2024, our 2025 Q1 revenue increased by approximately 15%. We're off to a great year for sure, and looking forward to keeping the momentum throughout 2025. Any questions for this slide?
Commissioners? Nope.
Great. I'll now turn it over to Kirsten Flint to discuss our workforce diversity.
Thank you, Lisa, and good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to present our workforce update for the Q1. My name is Kirsten Flint. I'm our Senior Vice President of Corporate Social Responsibility and Internal Communications for the company. I'd like to share on this slide, I won't spend too much time on this. We were relatively flat to Q4 of 2024 with representation within our Caesars digital population of 35% of people of color, which was flat to last quarter, up 1% for women representation in Caesars digital to last quarter, and then flat to veterans. Lisa, if you could go to the next slide. This one's a new view in our update. So this is representation of our entire population at Caesars Entertainment. This is our U.S. direct team members and global team members that support all U.S. operations. And so this for Q1, representation of people of color is 63% of our workforce, and representation of women in our workforce is 48%. As you can see, quarter over quarter, this is also flat. Any questions on this slide?
Sorry.
Okay. So I'd also like to share, Lisa, if you go to the next slide, I'm pleased to share that we recently launched our 2024 CSR report, which celebrates 25 years of our People, Planet, Play strategy, which is our corporate social code of commitment. What I'd like to do is focus on our people pillar of our CSR initiatives and highlight some of the extraordinary initiatives and investments that we've made in our team member population across the company. So if you could go to the next slide, please. Okay. In 2024, I'm pleased to report that 78% of our team members noted on our annual survey that they are proud to work for Caesars Entertainment. And we just received our 2025 results. I'm also pleased to share that we have a 4% increase up to 82% year over year. Last year alone, Caesars Entertainment invested $34 million in all forms of training and development. I'll note that we made that stat update in our CSR report after we submitted this presentation. So that investment's more than double what you see on that screen. So $34 million in all form of training and development programs for our team members, which is approximately $658 per team member, averaging 29 training hours per year. This training includes training and development across different forms of training, includes mandatory risk and compliance training, safety, leadership development, department training, and discretionary learning. On top of that, our company invested $2.3 million in 2024 alone in our educational assistance program called All In on Education. This includes low to no cost education options with partner schools and up to $5,250 per year in tuition assistance or student loan debt repayment for those that qualify. In 2024, we also rolled out our extraordinary leadership training, which is a full day training that is intended for all of our 8,000 plus supervisors and above. And we expect that full population to complete the training by the end of this year. So that training is really targeted at that supervisor manager level, but it's a wonderful training and from anyone from a brand new supervisor all the way up to a seasoned senior vice president. So we're very excited about that. And it supports our 5 pillars of our leadership development program. We also continue to host our Emerging Leader Program, which is a flagship program that recognizes extraordinary managers and directors across the company. In the last 4 years of this program, we've had 500 people graduate the program, and I'm pleased to share that 40% of those leaders either received promotions or new roles once they graduated. At Caesars Entertainment, we do place great emphasis on mobility and internal promotions. We strongly encourage mobility across all levels of responsibility, functions, and locations, and regularly share options with our workforce to ensure that internal candidates are aware of the positions across the company, they're aware of where we operate, and ease of applying. We also offer a robust location program for our internal candidates where relevant. And we have a lot of senior leaders who have risen through different functions and positions at Caesars, and they serve as role models for our team who demonstrate that it's possible to advance in any direction. In 2024 alone, we had more than 2,000 internal promotions within the company. We also encourage our team members to consider career advancement and provide visibility to different career paths across various functions and levels to help them make informed choices and plans for their future moves if they wish. We also assess our team members for their performance and potential and aim to build a succession pipeline for key leadership and functional roles throughout the company, including Caesars Digital. Last year, we also made an extraordinary investment in our internal intranet called Empire Wire, placing emphasis on making sure that our team members know how to access their perks, their benefits, resources, development tools, and learning opportunities, and more with an easy to navigate mobile-friendly platform. And we also launched a telephone resource called Caesars Connect that puts all of the critical pieces of our team members' employment journey in one spot. We also continue to recognize the extraordinary accomplishments of our team members across the company with our company-wide awards. And from an inclusion standpoint, we continue to invest in our 7 business impact groups that are focused on networking, social gathering, cultural awareness and education, well-being, community impact, and continuous improvement. This past May, we recently welcomed more than 30 business impact group leaders from all over the country to Las Vegas in May for a 2-day summit where we focused on the power of impact and inclusion and gave us the opportunity to invest in the chairs and co-chairs who are investing in the team members back at their properties. And I'd also like to share that we have a scholarship program through Corporate Social Responsibility that recognizes team members who are passionate about our People, Planet, Play framework, and they apply to attend one of our CSR corporate partner programs throughout the year. And finally, we also launched a new Extraordinary Hero Awards program that recognizes our team members across the company who are going above and beyond in volunteerism. Our Hero Volunteer Program recognized 93,000 volunteer hours last year alone. And so for this, we recognize 12 extraordinary team members who continue to go above and beyond and set the example for their properties and their communities. And then finally, I'd like to share that on top of all of that, we continue to invest in the health and well-being of our team members, including low-cost on-site healthcare clinics at specific locations, access to WellHub for fitness and wellness discounts, and a full app suite for well-being, and a dedicated employee assistance program that offers holistic wellness resources for team members and their families. So as I mentioned, we continue to invest in these extraordinary programs that support our team members and cultivate a workplace where every team member feels respected, supported, and empowered. And with that, I'll open that up for any questions and then pass it back over to Dave for our supplier engagement presentation.
Ms. Flint, I don't have a question. I just a comment. No wonder 78% of your team members are proud to work for Caesars. I think that's all excellent initiatives.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Skinner. I appreciate
Thank you
that.
for bringing those data points forward.
Thank you.
Ms. Flynn, I have a quick question about the clinic access you talked about. Is that
Yeah.
actually in the workplace? Do you locate those on site, or do folks go off campus for those things?
So we have a hybrid. So most of them are on site at our locations. So we have 13 locations across the company, and we also offer virtual care as well for those that are enrolled in a virtual or in an on-site healthcare program.
Tremendous. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Wonderful program. Thank you. Okay,
Thank you,
well,
Kirsten. Passing it
thank
over
you.
to Dave.
Good morning, and thank you, commissioners, for allowing us to present the Q1 2025 data on supplier engagement spend. As normal, I'm sorry, could we scroll down one slide, please? Actually, go.
Can you see that one, Dave?
Yep, there we go. Thank you
Okay.
very much. As in previous presentations, the latest quarter numbers are not completely validated and audited yet. The preceding 3 quarters have been validated and adjusted accordingly. The data is also for total company spend as opposed to just specific spend. As you can see in our Q1 2025 data, we did dip slightly in spend percentage. However, the data or the spend had outperformed Q2 and Q4 of 2024. We continue to focus on supplier engagement at both our regulated and non-regulated properties. And the Las Vegas region is one that obviously has the greatest volume, and that is also a great focus of the company itself. Sidebarring on that, we have impacted the Massachusetts supplier engagement by $12 million in the state during the first quarter of 25. And for the 4 quarters, going back to Q2 of 24, Caesars has spent just under $40 million in the state of Massachusetts. I'd also like to state that we are also meeting with the regulated properties throughout our company and those purchasing leaders and focusing on wherever tier 2 spend is allowed to be reported against. We are coming up with a policy, including hopefully our DNC, our design and construction department. And we're hopeful that that will help boost these numbers as we progress through that policy. I'd like to piggyback on one thing that Kirsten mentioned, and that was the extraordinary leadership sessions. In one of my verticals, I have 3 leaders that attended these classes, and I am happy to say that 2 of those 3 have gone through them already. They happen because they are extraordinary leaders, be female, and they thought the sessions were unbelievably helpful. And as a matter of fact, one of those 2 that have attended has already been promoted to a senior director. So we are very proud of her. She's a great employee. So any questions, commissioners?
We're good.
Thank you.
All right.
And I
Thank you,
will
Dave.
pass it back to Lisa.
All right, so for our play management reporting, here's our quarter-over-quarter comparison, as well as Q1 2024 versus Q1 2025 for the top RG tools utilized by our patrons. For this slide, a few things to mention. The number of accounts registered in RG programs have increased quarter over quarter and increased compared to Q1 of 2024. There was a slight increase in numbers between Q4 of last year and Q1 of patrons clicking our RG resource page, using the cool off functionality and the wager deposit limitation. Overall, we continue to see consistent usage of RG tools by our patrons in the platform in Massachusetts, and we'll continue to provide the commission with more insight on patron usage or any trends on our RG tools throughout the year. For our prohibited player monitoring, in sum, we had 3 accounts in Q1 that were flagged by the system, which resulted in a detailed investigation by our internal teams. Upon review, all 3 accounts were closed as a result of suspecting an underage person was controlling the account. If no questions on these 2 slides.
I actually, this is Commissioner Ryan. I would be interested in hearing a little more detail on that. I understand that would probably have to happen in executive session. I believe we've marked it up, but I would like to hear a little bit more about how flagged and how they came to that conclusion.
Sure, Commissioner O'Brien, we can do that. There is a major component of that review that causes the flag, and we can provide more details on that in the executive session.
All right, Commissioner O'Brien, do you want to hold to the end of the presentation
Sure.
and read the language and make a decision, or do it now? All right.
We can hold, yeah.
Okay, I'll turn to my colleague Caroline Lyugan to discuss our responsible gaming efforts.
Good morning from Las Vegas, Chair Maynard and commissioners. Happy to be here today. I do also want to piggyback on Kirsten's slide, and because I am honored to lead the program at our company, within our 2024 CSR report, 84% of our team members agreed that Caesars Entertainment promotes responsible gaming, and nearly 18,000 team members agreed to that question. So I'm excited to share with you that metric, and we continue with an upward trend in 2025. It increased from 84% in 2024 to 86%. So we look forward to engaging our team members and continuously educating them about responsible gaming and the responsible gaming tools that are offered to our customers. All right, back to the slide. So Massachusetts VEP suppressed and entered into our proprietary responsible gaming application. When compared to Q1 24 and Q1 2025, there has been an increase in participation with voluntary VEPs in the state of Massachusetts. So that's good. Online customers are aware that this tool is available to them, and they are, taking that responsibility to uptake this option. Okay. Next slide. All right, so what did we do in Q1 2025 for responsible gaming? Well, there was a lot going on in Q1 in respect to RG Education Month that's hosted by the National Council on Problem Gambling. We hosted pretty much a lot of on-property, on-site events, in addition to sponsoring and participating in conferences throughout the months of February and March. We also held a responsible gaming training as well during RG Ed Month. And as of March 31st, 2025, I am excited to report that we have now nearly 2016 RG ambassadors company-wide. Again, as I mentioned in previous reports, RG ambassadors are supervisors and above who receive skilled training to have conversations with guests, whether it be the individual who identifies with a gambling problem, family members or friends who want to know more about responsible gaming. They go through an advanced training and they learn the skill set of having conversations that are sensitive and also confidential. And once the conversations are had and the tools are provided or the help resources are provided to these individuals, they are documented in what we refer to as our responsible gaming log within the RG application. It doesn't get entered into any customer management system because of the sensitivity around the conversation. We participated and sponsored conferences, one being the PGNO, Problem Gambling Network of Ohio Conference. We also participated and sponsored the Arizona Department of Gaming Problem Gambling Symposium. And we also participated and sponsored the Pennsylvania Statewide Conference East location. During PGAM, we created and co-branded PGAM toolkit materials with the NCPG's logo that was disseminated company-wide, so brick and mortar facilities along with our digital business. Back of house, PGAM table events were held in collaboration with 7 local council affiliates to discuss, what disordered gambling is, problem gambling warning signs, and providing the local help community resources with team members. And a lot of times we have in language participants, and if they don't understand, fully understand or comprehend what's available in the English version, we have our Spanish speaking team members as well that can assist, and they are RG ambassadors. Next slide, please. There were also hosted webinars during Problem Gambling Education Month in New Jersey and with the Virginia councils, which we all participated in. It's a very eye-opener for us to learn exactly what each state has been doing, not only us, locally, but company-wide, so that we can share best practices amongst our operations. In the state of Ohio, our property called Eldorado Scioto Downs in Columbus, Ohio, they partaked and participated in a 2.5 hour in-person property tour in collaboration with the PGNO, and the attendees, run the gamut from responsible gaming stakeholders to people in recovery. So it's always good to educate these stakeholders, on how Caesars is implementing their responsible gaming program, the help resources we provide on property, whether it be a brochure, a poster with the helpline number, but also who the RG ambassadors are as well. And we encourage the human to human contact element, that interaction, which really helps on site. Also during PGAM, the Caesars Foundation provided a grant award of $200,000 to the International Center for Responsible Gaming to continue and support their research and education efforts. Next slide. All right. Specific to Massachusetts, we were in contact with Von Long with the Mass Gaming Commission and Janine Ruggiero with the Mass Council on Gaming and Health. And we collaborated during PGAM to roll out an email to our online customers in Massachusetts. So we sent out a co-branded PGAM email to all online customers in Massachusetts. And the purpose was to inform customers of Problem Gambling Awareness Month, make our online customers aware of the GameSense advisor contact information, and to also advise our online customers of the Gambling Disorder Screening Day, which was March 11th. This was a real emphasis that Long wanted us to really push out. So we were able to deploy the email on March 1st. The email was delivered to over 10,000 active accounts, and approximately 20% of those customers opened the email. So as you can see, delivered to 10,021 individuals or account emails, and the individuals that opened the email was 2,048. All right. Before I let you go, are there any questions that I can answer for you?
Hi, this is Commissioner O'Brien. Is that a typical sort of ratio of delivered to opening?
Yeah, this is actually the second campaign, Commissioner O'Brien, that we collaborated with. I don't know what the numbers, I can't recall what the numbers were for the campaign that was done back in 2024 in December. But I will get with Long and Janine to kind of, help me understand if this is the typical ratio for email deliveries and open and click rates.
Okay, great,
Okay.
Thanks.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Caroline.
You're welcome.
And then lastly, giving an update on our lottery engagement. In Q1 2025, we continued our partnership with the Massachusetts Lottery. For this quarter, we advertised the Giant Winnings promotion on our mobile app. The promotion ran through April 2025, and we're continuing to work with the lottery on additional promotional opportunities. And that's the conclusion of our Q1 presentation. Again, appreciate the opportunity to present today. And then Chair Maynard, we can be available for executive session when ready.
Thank you so much. Can we pull that down so I can see everyone, please?
Yeah.
I know it took a lot to get it up, so I feel bad asking you to pull it down. So understanding, I know that there's an audit going on. I know Carrie has talked to us about that, but understanding that, would we want to briefly, given Commissioner O'Brien's questions, enter into executive session
Chair,
to discuss this matter? Commissioner Skinner?
before we go into executive session, I just have a couple of comments relative to the presentation.
Perfect. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Thank you.
We
And
can
it's
hold it up before.
sorry. I think I want to direct these comments to Ms. Flint and I think Mr. Schultz. In the area of diversity, both in employment and supplier, I would like to bring a little bit more context to the discussion. And hopefully that will help us as commissioners review and understand what it is we're seeing, not just from Caesars, but all of the operators. So I'm going to be making a request to all of our sports wagering operators, and that is, if you could, during the application process, there were a number of representations made in the way of diversity, goals, benchmarks that operators set for themselves. What I'm interested in seeing at some point in the very near future, and please work with our sports wagering division to identify a mutually agreeable time frame, is what you represented to the commission during application, and where you are now with respect to those representations. I think that, well, just to back up a little bit, I have convened an internal work group, and this sort of stems from a project that started on the gaming side with respect to a diversity audit. And so what really the goal I think, of that work group is, again, to really put these discussions in a bit more context, and to try to bring a little bit of clarity around the commission's expectations. We're working really to understand exactly where each of the operators are, where they've come from, where they are today, and where it makes sense in terms of a realistic vision for us to expect as a commission them to go in the future. The idea being that that work group would then present some recommendations to the full commission. And so in order for us to do that, that is my request of you. Hopefully the other operators are listening, so I don't have to repeat myself each time. But that is what my request is to you, Caesars. And again, it is a blanket request to all of the operators, because I really do think that we should try to make a little bit of headway here. I appreciate the presentation, the numbers that you are willing to be transparent about. I just want to, again, add a bit more meaning to those slides. And hopefully it'll work better for not just you folks, but for us as a commission, because we need to know what needs attention, what we need to be responding to, right? Does that make sense?
That does make sense. Thank you, Commissioner. And so what we'll do is we'll regroup with our team and we'll get with the sports division too, and follow up with that request. And it does helpful to have the context there. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
I may have more questions, Commissioner Skinner, about how assignments are made, but besides that, we'll take that offline. Because this is the first I'm hearing this. I'm learning it live too. All right. Any other statements or questions before we consider executive session?
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner Broder.
I'm hoping that Ms. Teresi can give us perhaps a little bit of overview or background around the intake of these underage cases, so I know. Just want to make sure for myself I know how we treat these in the ordinary course.
Yeah, certainly. I want to be mindful of anything I shouldn't discuss publicly that might reveal sort of investigative processes. I think what I can say is that all underage incidents are reviewed by our GEU unit in the first instance. Is that helpful?
It is, and then obviously their findings will get passed on as appropriate with some facts and other information, and off we go from there.
Absolutely. Yep.
Excellent. Makes perfect sense. Thank you for that.
All right. So commissioners, do we want to potentially go into executive session? If so, I need to read some language. Thank you, Commissioner Broder, for that question.
I do. I don't know if anyone else does. And I know, mindful of time, I kind of cycle through on operators. So I'm not expecting to do this for everyone, but I am interested in just getting some questions in executive session on this today.
Yeah,
fine with me, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, and we can, by the way, we don't have to do it for everyone. We can do it for the ones we got questions for and then do it again next quarter. So let me read some language in. The commission anticipates that it may meet an executive session in accordance with General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A7, and General Law, Chapter 4, Section 726N, to review certain materials in connections with the sports wagering operators' policies and procedures, as approved by the commission in accordance with 205 CMR 238.20 and or 238.33, to prevent access by underage individuals as these matters relate to cybersecurity in the Commonwealth, and the discussion of public disclosure of which is likely to jeopardize public safety or cyber security. Do we have a motion to enter in for those reasons?
I move we go into executive session for on the matters and for the reasons just stated by the chair.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner O'Brien.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye.
Commissioner Skinner.
Aye.
Commissioner Broder.
Yes.
All right, so Mills, we'll give you a second. I know that we,
Can pop
all
up for
right.
you right there.
Thank you. All right. We just finished make sure I get this wording correct, an executive session. We did take a vote to enter in. We appreciate Caesars for having that conversation with us. Since we're entering back in, we don't have to take a roll call. And I believe that we left off, I'll turn it back over to sports wagering, but I believe DraftKings is next.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Caesars. And before we get to DraftKings, Commissioner Skinner, so you don't have to repeat yourself after every presentation, we'll get that request out to all the operators later today.
Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah, but with that, I'll turn it over to Jake.
Good afternoon, commissioners, and thank you for having me. My name is Jake Liss. I'm the Senior Director of Regulatory Gaming Compliance, and I will be joined today by Jared Hess, Director of Communications, Christina Agus, VP of HR, David Foppett, VP of Regulatory, who runs our AML and fraud programs, and Julie Hines, who's the Director of Responsible Gaming. And with that, I will share my screen. Does everybody see my screen?
All good, Jake. Good job.
Thanks, Andrew. I will jump straight in now. So just quickly moving through revenue. So in Q1 of 2025, DraftKings generated $118 million, $821,965 in sports wagering revenue. This translated to $23,248,083 in taxes collected, and this was achieved at a hold rate of 11.1%. And with that, I'll pass it to Christina.
Thank you. Hello, commissioners. You can go to them. Thank you. So workforce diversity, and I heard you, Commissioner Skinner, so we actually were on the back end looking at some old data points as well. But for Q1, we really continue to sustain our momentum in building an inclusive representation across job levels. Women consistently represented, strong participation across all levels, particularly at that mid-manager level. We have seen successful efforts in attracting and retaining women throughout the talent pipeline. Non-white representation continues to also be especially strong at that early career level, which is really allowing us to focus on just leadership development, ensuring that that pipeline and kind of their employee life cycle can further have a greater impact at those more manager and senior leader levels in the future. Veteran representation, while smaller overall, does show really encouraging trends at the senior levels. I think I mentioned last quarter, we launched our Veterans BRG, which has been really helpful in just ensuring that we're creating a good workplace and environment for them, while also helping us with our recruitment strategy and working in partnership with our TA team. So seeing really strong leadership roles for veterans up to 5.7%, specifically in the Massachusetts area. And then what you'll see is, like always, we include our 2025 representation goals. I mean, we use goals very lightly here, though, because, of course, our number one focus is ensuring that we just have an overall diversified workforce that really does lean into top talent, high performance. So overall, for global female representation, we had a 35% target that we're trying to get to. We're currently at 26.5%. And that's actually from 2023. We were right around that same point at about 26%. But 5 years before that, 2018, we were at 19%. So while we've seen growth over the last few years, it has slowed down. We do think a part of that may be due to some of our mergers and acquisitions that we've recently had, where we haven't really had a hand in recruitment efforts there, but are continuing to work on that overall. And then our US non-white representation, we're targeting 40%. We're currently at 30.6%. And back in 2023, we were at around 31%. Again, we think some of those mergers and acquisitions have had a detrimental impact on those numbers. But again, when we look a few years prior to that, in 2018, we were just at 15%. So again, I think we had a huge uptick over kind of a 5-year period, and then it kind of leveled out flat. But we continue to see really high retention rates amongst top talent in those groups, which is really another focus area of ours. It's not just getting folks in the door, but making sure we're creating a work environment that is championing them. Next slide. So, within our pillars for creating that culture of belonging, we've actually had some really great recruitment efforts in Q1. All were actually local. So we had our MIT Sloan Sports Analytics Conference sponsorship. So not only did we do a networking breakfast on site at the conference, but we also actually had a group of their mentees on site at our office. We kind of gave them a case study. We allowed them to really just get an inside look at what it's like working at DraftKings and being a part of the culture here. And then we also continued our sponsorship with NESB STEM Gala. We had quite a few of our employees attend. We actually had some from our board also attend as well, and really just want to continue to create relationships locally. So to really help with our recruitment efforts and attraction efforts for DraftKings. Next slide. Workforce development. So really a strong focus area for us in 2025 is that global belonging. We do have a global footprint. We want to make sure that not only our leaders, but really all of our employees are really trained in being able to communicate cross-culturally to really help boost collaboration and productivity. So all of our global offices went through a cross-culture communications training where you really got to learn just the most effective communication styles of different cultures. And then we'll be expanding that into like our onboarding programs moving forward, because we did focus initially on just like senior leaders, but it really is a skill that we want everyone to have. And we do think it's a great development opportunity for all of our employees. Next one. And then connections. So this year we launched our Global Connection Days. And what we do is we really try to create an informal atmosphere for employees to come and talk about what it's like working at DraftKings and how we can focus on new efforts to ensure they have that sense of belonging, right? And how we define belonging, it is ensuring that our employees feel safe, they feel welcomed from day one, and they feel championed throughout their time here. So with these, we're able to really identify like kind of belonging champions in each office that we can really go to ensure that all of our efforts are, respectful, considerate, and ensure that we are, connecting with our employees no matter where they sit. So in Q1, we had our Global Connection Days in our Bulgaria offices, both Plovdiv and Sofia. London and Dublin, and it actually resulted in our London Dublin Belonging Council being launched, as well as our London Dublin Women's BRG being launched as well. And then onto our vendor supplier spend and supplier diversity. So we continue to focus on tracking, reporting, identifying just key areas of opportunities. So within year to date for the US, while we have a goal at 5%, we're currently at, we're currently as of, sorry, that keynote below is wrong. That should actually be Q1. Oh yes, it should actually be January, February, March 31st. Sorry, I've worked in media also for 20 years and still don't know my quarter. So the end of Q1, so that should be March 31st. What we're seeing is we're currently at 2% with a goal of 5%. and really focused on just like standard contracts that we've had amongst minority-owned businesses and women-owned businesses. Here we will start seeing hopefully some additional movement. Not only have we attended more local events, and that will be shown in Q2, but also we are working internally on our vendor onboarding program, which should help us identify those diverse suppliers earlier on, because right now we have been kind of having to backtrack and just double check our suppliers and ensuring that they are diverse, or really going back and identifying ones that were already in our system. So there has been a lot of manual work to date, but hopefully we will be able to make it a little bit more effective moving forward with the internal work that is happening with our procurement team and vendor onboarding team. Thank you, and I'll turn it over now.
Thanks, Christina. Moving back to compliance. So this slide describes different forms of potential underage attempted access and confirmed access, and numbers are as follows. So for Q1 2025, underage registration attempts, so that's someone that enters underage credentials into the login flow but doesn't pass through KYC. There's 2,175 customers. Where upon review we have some suspicion of underage use, the number is 78, and cases that we would categorize as confirmed underage use, we had 1 in Q1.
Hi, this is Commissioner Ryan. This is somewhat a question for you, Jake, but also for our team. The number you have on registration attempts at KYC is markedly higher than the other people presenting to us today. And I'm trying to figure out if it is a question of simply reporting to us, or if DraftKings has a disproportionate number of underage trying to access.
Yeah, so this is the first time that we have presented this statistic to the commission, because previously we were reporting on suspected. Based on that, it's the first time that we've seen other operators report it as well. And so, yes, I understand that discrepancies in the data may well raise questions, but this is a new question to us. Certainly something we could find out more about post this meeting.
Right. Yeah. So I guess question to you, but also to our team to figure out if there's a divergence there that, we might want to ask more questions on, or is it just because this is the first time, maybe we just need to get consistency in the number?
We can certainly look more into that, Commissioner O'Brien, and it's likely our audit will uncover some information on this as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Thank you.
So with that, I'll move on, understanding that we may well go to exec session at the end of the presentation.
Good afternoon, Chair Maynard, Commissioners.
I'll hand it to Julie for Responsible Gaming.
Yes, thank you, Jake. So kicking off with our VSEs and limits. For Q1, we had 170 VSE applications in the Commonwealth. For the limit types, we had a slight dip in limits to overall 3.34% as opposed to Q4. We really believe that's due to our experimentation of the Shaquille O'Neal basketball promotion that we ran in December. And so for that reason, we are continuing on with further experiments and engaging our customers with future incentivization to engage with our tools. We had in March the 1-year anniversary of my stat sheet. As we've talked with the commission previously, my stat sheet is the first of its kind to provide players with their insights on their gaming behavior. This is done by Vertical, and they can also check into their time spent on our site as well. And customers are really enjoying it. We're finding that just about 50% of all DraftKings players have used our tool. And it's a nice way for engaging players in not only just viewing transparently their statistics, but also then inviting them to partake in our limit setting tools, whether it be time or deposits or wager limits. And in Q1, we had over 336 Massachusetts visits and 70,000 unique Massachusetts players, indicating that people are returning to my stat sheet, which is a promising thing for us. We are recommitted our funding to the State Council Fund. So we had a 3-year pilot commitment of $2 million to the state councils, including the Massachusetts Council on Gaming and Health. And we are really proud to have recommitted that funding commitment. And this year we'll distribute over $500,000 to 34 US state problem gambling councils. And in the next slide, we'll talk a little bit more about this as well and the invitation of our guests in Problem Gambling Awareness Month. So in Problem Gambling Awareness Month, we had a event at the Boston Garden during a Bruins game. It was called What's Bruin. It's if you've been to the center, you've seen What's Bruin. It's on every game. And we had a special card inviting people to participate with Gambling Disorder Screening Day. And that was March 11th with our partners at Cambridge Health Alliance. And with the QR code, it engages people to be able to take the brief biosocial gambling screen and then invites people to engage with other resources as well. Our partners with CHA, Cambridge Health Alliance Division on Addiction, had a tabling event and provided the screening in 5 different languages and support materials. This was all funded with DraftKings. And we also sent an email CRM to all players in Massachusetts, as well as all of our player base, reaching over 135,000 unique players in the Commonwealth on Gambling Disorder Screening Day. And again, that would invite people to take the brief biosocial gambling screen. So we, speaking of the state councils that we talked about just a moment ago, on March 11th and March 12th, we invited our state council directors to come talk with us. We wanted to learn from them, see how we can help support them even further. And so we had 9 participating councils visit us in our offices, with Dr. Debbie LaPlante from Cambridge Health Alliance doing a special presentation on Gambling Disorder Screening Day. And we also had our state council directors, because of typically the lack of funding that they get and the lack of production with a lot of their efforts, we do have the resources to be able to provide for videos. And so we had them engage with public service announcements, highlighting Problem Gambling Awareness Month that they can use in whatever way that makes the most sense to them. It looks like our audio may not be working, but that is Lori Manson, the executive director of Maine, and she was one of the 9 participants that was doing that. So we'll just go ahead and move on there since audio is not working. Thanks, Jake.
Sorry, I actually had the audio. I assume it was silent for you, Julie.
It wasn't working for me. Was everyone else hearing it?
We weren't hearing it at the commission.
I wasn't hearing it.
Okay, thanks.
Is there a place where we can find it potentially, or can you send it in a separate link that we can watch later?
Yes, thanks, Chair Maynard. We can go ahead and do that. We can have you look at all of them if you'd like to as well.
I just want to make sure that we see everything you want us to see. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. All right, Jake. So then we also highlighted PGAM on all of our DraftKings products, just peppering it everywhere based upon everywhere that people are. This is the Massachusetts sports betting page. Just wanting people to get those resources for help and get directing to the National Council on Problem Gambling's page on Problem Gambling Awareness Month. And then lastly, one thing that we are very excited about this in Q1 was launching the Kenny Rogers, everybody is aware of the song, The Gambler campaign, and really highlighting the fact that gaming is supposed to be more fun when it's for fun. We want it to be fun and entertaining. And so with that anthem, we wanted the spirit of social camaraderie, and these are the values of our DraftKings experience. The campaign was launched on March 17th. It's ongoing, and we'll be having additional buys during the month of September at the kickoff of NFL. So Jake, let's try to get this going on the next slide, please, and show the 30-second spot.
Yeah, let me see if I can get the audio.
Hey, Jake, I might be able to help here. If you stop sharing your screen and then go to reshare your screen, there's an option to share with audio that you have to select.
One moment.
Down in the lower left corner when you pop up the share screen.
Said if you're gonna play the game, boy, you gotta learn to play it right. You gotta know when to hold 'em. Pull 'em already.
Know when to fold 'em.
Know when to walk away. Travel.
Know when to run. Run. He's automatic from the 40.
You never count your money when you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done.
Hopefully you get the gist. It looks a little bit like trying to stream a video from 1996, but we're also happy to share that it's in the public domain.
Thank you. For those that don't know, right across the other side of this monitor is an unopened original vinyl of The Gambler framed on my wall. So one of my favorite songs.
Love it. All right, that concludes the responsible gaming portion of the presentation. I'll pass it over to Jay. Oh, actually, it doesn't. We, like our other colleagues that are in Responsible Online Gaming Association, have been participating with the Know Your Play collegiate education program. For those who are not aware of Know Your Play, it is a responsible gaming, financial literacy, and mental health program. And it invites all collegiate college-age people to participate in it, and we'll be working with our partners with additional efforts in the future, especially as we ramp up towards the fall school year. And that concludes the responsible gaming portion.
Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon, commissioners. Looking forward to presenting about our community impact during Q1. So in January, we announced we are continuing our Tech for Heroes initiative along with Vets in Tech. This is where we train veterans in high demand tech skills from things like cybersecurity to web development. For 2025, we're also supporting employer meetups and other veteran hiring programs through Vets in Tech. And also supporting some veteran entrepreneurship by hosting local educational events in our offices for veteran entrepreneurs. So since 2018, we've donated over $3 million to Vets in Tech to run this program, and proud to announce that we've trained over 1,000 veterans through our Tech for Heroes program. Go to the next slide. Yes, unfortunately, there are natural disasters and other things that require response throughout the year. In January, we made a sizable donation in support of the devastating wildfires that occurred in California and affected the Los Angeles community. DraftKings donated $200,000 to the American Red Cross and to the Los Angeles Fire Department Foundation. These funds were directly used to support first responders and provide essential resources. We do have a video as well here. We leveraged some of our ad inventory during a pay-per-view UFC event that was actually hosted in Los Angeles. The purpose being really to encourage viewers to add their own donations as well. So we can play that.
Thus far. Amidst the current wildfires in the Los Angeles area, DraftKings is proud to support relief and recovery efforts with a $200,000 donation to the American Red Cross and the LA Fire Department Foundation. Scan those QR codes on your screen to see how you can provide support for those affected today. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what it is now. Live thus far.
Yes, and during the month of March, DraftKings recognized International Women's Day with a global employee volunteer initiative. So this was in partnership with United Way. The purpose was to assemble care packages for women in need, so women facing domestic violence, homelessness, and other health issues. So we packed over 5,000 care packages. This was done in our offices around the globe. So Boston, New York, Las Vegas, Dublin, London, Sofia, Plovdiv, and Tel Aviv. And this is the second year in a row that we've worked with United Way to assemble care packages, now over 10,000 for both years. And in Boston specifically, we had 75 employees come together to volunteer for this program, assembled over 1,000 care packages, again, for women in need. And then we distributed these kits across the greater Boston community through organizations like Pine Street Inn, Healthcare for the Homeless, Project Hope, Catholic Charities, and several others that are listed there. And then finally, DraftKings sponsored UNCF's 2025 New England Gala. This was to recognize partners and allies of UNCF who have helped advance educational opportunities in the Commonwealth. DraftKings Chief People Officer Linda Aiello was there for the event, along with several other DraftKings employees, to show support for UNCF's mission, as well as to recognize DraftKings board member Valerie Mosley, who was honored at the event for her work with UNCF. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is this the end of the affirmative presentation?
I think we may have lost Jake. Jake, are you still there?
I'm still here.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioners. This does conclude the presentation.
I thought so, having looked at the slides, but said I didn't want to cut you off. Commissioners, questions, comments on DraftKings? Commissioner O'Brien, were you satisfied on the?
So what I was going to put out, and this is similar to what Commissioner Skinner did earlier, which is rather than go into individualized executive sessions on the question of the underage and determinations, I would put an ask out to our team. And I know the audit's going on, but to coordinate with the operators in terms of getting some answers to the questions we asked in of Caesars in terms of process, maybe led by two briefings to us, right? So that we can then determine if there's the next time they come in for quarterlies, whether there's a deeper dive warranted in executive session. Happy to connect Carrie too as well in terms of what my questioning would be, but.
Okay, that sounds, I would support that as one commissioner, and same as to Commissioner Skinner's questions too. Commissioners, are we good with that? Standardization of questions and maybe some 2x2s? All right. All right. Well, with that, I believe we will kick it back over to Sports Radio. Thank you to DraftKings. And I want to say, again, thank you to Caesars, because I know I said it when we were in executive session, but I'm not sure that I said it when we went back into public. And we will, I believe, move on to Bally's. Thank you, Jake. Thank you, team.
Thanks, everyone.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to share my screen. Good morning, Chair, Commissioners, staff, and guests. I'm Kim McAllister, Corporate Director of North American Interactive for Bally's. Today, we have presenting Tracy Wiley, who's our Executive Director of Diversity and Equity and Inclusion. She will be speaking to our workforce diversity. We also have Nancy Duvall and Colin Bailey from our procurement team who will be speaking to our supplier diversity and vendor spend. And lastly, but not least, Scott Nyrep, our responsible gaming representative, who will be discussing our responsible gaming community outreach and charitable impacts. Revenue for Q1 of 2025, our total revenue was $950,738, and our taxes collected were $190,147, with a hold of 1.4%. Any questions?
Nope.
We will move on to Ms. Tracy to discuss our workforce diversity. Tracy?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Tracy Wiley, the Executive Director for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. And I am also joined today by our Vice President of Talent, Learning, and Development, Jennifer Reagan. Just want to walk you through a couple of the statistics for our workforce diversity. And thank you for the ability to be able to present these today. Under our U.S. Category for executives, as you can see, that 20% of our teams are identifying as minorities, with 14.29% as women. In total, there are about 35 executives in the U.S. Under that category. At the manager's level, as you can see, the 15.5% identify as minorities, and women comprise of 43.1% for a total of 58 managers. Our entry level and non-management employee positions are at our largest statistics, with 28% representing as minorities and 33.2% are representing as women, for a total workforce of 193 individuals. And then, of course, in aggregate, 24.5% of our U.S. workers identify as minorities, while 32.9% are as women. We recognize that our total number for workforce is 286 for North American teams. That picture is a little bit different in our Massachusetts numbers, but there is work and opportunity there for us to be able to move forward. So across all levels for minority, women, and veteran representation in Massachusetts, it is recorded at 0 for those designations. Well, we have 2 employees there, and that's an opportunity for us to grow in the state, 1 in management and 1 in non-management. I note that because our U.S. workforce really does demonstrate an ongoing commitment to building diversity, particularly in our entry-level and management roles, with strong representation amongst women and managers. But we're also it's apparent that we need to further support our representation of veterans and enhance minority and gender diversity at the executive levels in those categories in Massachusetts. And I'm very mindful of the comments that were made by Commissioner Skinner earlier today with regard to how we get there together. So continuing on this slide, I'd just like to mention our current strategy for workforce development as it relates to our interactive teams. We currently operate with a global presence and a local contribution. You'll note that many of our teammates in North America are those teammates that really do support the work that we're doing for our iGaming and sportsbooks. Kim McAllister serves, as you know, as our regulatory liaison, and many of our customer support and compliance teams are also in North America. And while we note that from the chart above, we currently only have a few interactive roles based in Massachusetts. However, our brick and mortar presence is really strong in the neighboring state, where Bally's is headquartered in Rhode Island. And so there's a positive economic impact of this number of 274 Bally's Casino employees who reside in Massachusetts, with a continuous contribution to the local economy. Now, we know, having said that, we realize the importance of workforce development in Massachusetts, and we're committed to recruitment and community outreach. And so therefore, on this slide, you'll see towards the end that we're talking about expanding more local talent pipelines and making that a priority. Proactively enhancing recruitment in Massachusetts by participating in career fairs at institutions like UMass Dartmouth, which we have a few scheduled in the upcoming weeks. Additionally, our focus on veteran hiring. We typically are doing about 4 to 5 targeted events annually for veterans, with partnerships with the National Guard, and other military branches in an effort to bring valuable experience and leadership into the workforce. And then, of course, for our inclusive sourcing across the enterprise, we leverage technology, and we're driving those platforms with local partnerships, including Mitra Tech, Circa, and state job banks, and hoping to advance the pipeline in Massachusetts, increasing our opportunity there. We also recognize that Massachusetts is quite diverse, having over a third of residents identifying as people of color, and we want to make sure that there's an opportunity to leverage that. So the next slide, please. In short, our Bally's hiring philosophy is more than about technical skills. At Bally's, we're hiring for critical qualities, adaptability, motivation, customer focus, and resilience. And that will fuel, sort of this fast-paced iGaming environment. And so what we have done, we haven't put forward formal hiring goals, but what we have done across the enterprise is what you'll see noted here. That's embedded in our business strategy. And the approach is around these 3 key KPIs. And so we're evaluating year over year the diversity improvement and increases as we look at women in leadership, minorities in leadership, and women in technology. And so what you'll note here is that at the CEO direct reporting level, with women and minorities, that represents about 50% of our director and above roles. For our president of casinos and resorts, we are landing at about 21% are women. And then under our new CFO, who is also female, 33% of our director plus roles are held by women and minorities. And so while we have not officially put forward those hiring goals specific to this market yet, because we're really new at this, but we do have an opportunity to do things forward based on some of the enterprise-wide strategies that we have. Now, I mentioned Jennifer Reagan joining us on the call today, and I wanted to just mention that for succession planning internally, in the last couple of years, we've launched the Top 50 and 200 platform, and that was more or less around succession planning internally. And so some of our early successes include 6 team members, 4 who are women and 1 who's a minority, earning promotions in leadership, and now some of them working directly for the C-suite and or some of their direct reports. I don't know if Jen, you want to say anything more about that program. I know it's in its early stages, but I don't want to miss an opportunity to share it.
Sure. All I'll say is that we are excited about the program, and while it's in its infancy in the first 12 months, we've seen a lot of great engagement, and just look forward to how this is going to help build our leadership pipeline for the future. So we're really excited to continue reporting on that.
Thank you, Jen. And I'll just close out by saying, our commitment to our regulators is certainly measured and reported, responsive to the regulatory realities that have been shared with us today and were included in the licensee. We're ensuring that Bally's remains collaborative in this process, and we're a responsible industry partner. We know that our jobs and development programs support local communities, foster economic opportunities, and reflect the diversity and values of our guests. So we want you to know that Bally's workforce development is going to be something that we take pretty seriously, and we're looking forward to engaging with you and other affinity groups in the market to make this a reality. Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions, commissioners? We appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next, we have Nancy and Colin from our procurement team.
Hello, Nancy Duval, Director of Procurement, and I have the information on diversity spend. We had a total addressable spend of 33 million in Q1. We had a total diverse spend of 15% or 5 million. And our Massachusetts diverse spend We know we need some work on that one. It was under 1%. The breakdown of the other classifications for our diverse suppliers, MBEs, we're at 2%. WVE is our highest classification at 10%, and VBE 2%, DOBE 2%, and our SDVOB needs a little work too, but we have VBE at 2%. So we are working on that plan, and Colin will take over to talk about the plan.
Yeah, thanks, Nancy. So good
You're
afternoon,
welcome.
good afternoon, commissioners. So first, as we said, there's some work that we need to do, and the first bullet talks about a procurement supply diversity plan. Not going to say the acronym; it's a little long, but we needed an acronym instead of saying all those syllables all the time. What we're doing is we're looking at what we're doing organically, and then looking to add aspirational goals on top of it, and then get alignment with our C-suite leadership before going out, and let's call it cascading it throughout the enterprise. But more to come on that. Just wanted to make sure that was flashed, because obviously it's been mentioned that the last meeting and again this meeting that it's about aspirational goals and not just the actual data. In addition, we've, Tracy and I have kind of gone on a little bit of a road show where we've been at various meetings, both for the Massachusetts Supply Diversity Office. We went to the supplier fair, as well as we had a one-on-one intentional meeting, meeting with suppliers and understanding kind of the different skill sets and opportunities that we can bring to our casinos in Rhode Island, because there's not as much physical infrastructure in Massachusetts to, have some of these categories support. Also met with the Greater New England Minority Supply Development Council one-on-one meetings, and CASB as well. And we had our supplier diversity vendor fair in Chicago. I think that things like that can be emulated in Massachusetts to be intentional and drive some of that increase in spend, over the next, year, 6 months to a year. I'll stop there and see if you guys have any questions. All right, thank you.
Thank you, and we appreciate your work on this and your acknowledgement.
Next, for our registration attempts for underage, we only had 2 in Q1. We had no suspected underage use of accounts and no confirmed underage use of accounts. Our numbers have lowered for this because we have incorporated some new measures in AI put in place to not allow for patrons to continue the registration journey with an underage DOB. Questions on that one?
Yeah, this is Commissioner Ryan. So we were talking about this with DraftKings, just went in front of you. So is it that your number, if it sort of aborts because of that AI tool, you don't put it in this count that you're giving us in terms of registration attempts?
No, it doesn't even allow them to attempt the registration. Like the AI stops it automatically. So it does there's no further registration allowed. So it doesn't even allow them to come in, if that makes sense.
So yeah, I'm just trying to figure out where it stops, because obviously at some point the other operators had the same thing. So I'm just trying to figure out at what point when I click to start the process, do I get blocked if I'm underage?
I do not have that exact answer. I believe it's as soon as the information is input. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you could circle back and give that to Carrie and team, that would be helpful.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Brien, and thank you.
Next, we have Scott Nyrup from our responsible gaming team to discuss our responsible gaming efforts.
Good afternoon, commissioners. My name is Scott Nyrup, Director of Responsible Gambling here at Palace. Sadly, this is the last time I'll be presenting in front of the Commission. So it's been an absolute pleasure sharing with you all our responsible gambling initiatives over our time. We have had 23 voluntary self-exclusions enrollees in Q1. some highlights on our player management reporting. We have had our team speak to 12 individual players, directing them and signposting them to multiple partners, whether that will be GamStop, whether that may be many different partners we use, to whether it's GamFin to help with our players' financial side, or even some of the insurance providers which we use. We have had 646 deposit limits, 51 wager limits, 76 spend limits, and 286 self-exclusions. Next slide, please. Thanks. I'm pleased to say that we've recently launched a new player journey which incorporates a responsible gambling journey. We felt that it was imperative that to be able to forward our responsible gambling initiatives and signposting and messaging to our players, we should be asking our patrons. So every single player that does come through to our customer service, they are requested to complete a customer satisfaction, specifically within responsible gambling. So we ask our players how safe and protected they feel when playing with Bally's, the range and variety of responsible gambling tools to control their play, the ease of finding and understanding responsible gambling tools, and how clear and easy it is to understand the responsible gambling information. It's all very well that they know where the tools are. However, it's also important that players know how to actually use the tools. So when we have enough data, this will go fire straight off to our insights team and our machine learning teams, and that will give us some great data to be able to forward on our responsible gambling framework and improve our player journeys. Next slide, if there's no questions. So I'd like to present to you some of our responsible gambling outreach and community impact as part of PGAM 2025. There was, in fact, 4 initiatives we rolled out. We used numerous partners, Epic Gaming Global Solutions. They specialized in lived experience. We also work with Rhode Island Council of Problem Gambling and Rhode Island Lottery Division of Problem Gambling Services. The overall objective of these 4 initiatives was to raise awareness around responsible gaming and also underage play prevention, and in what better way to reduce the stigma of problematic gambling was to reach out to some of our colleges and universities. So we launched an initiative called Be a Game Changer with college students actively enrolled in Bryant University, Community College of Rhode Island, Johnson, Wales, Rhode Island College and Providence College, and the University of Rhode Island. We set up a competition for students to design communications and posters and written creatives to be able to enter into that competition. The winner received a $3,000 check in off their tuition fees. Next slide, please. That was our first initiative. The second initiative, we held one event with the leaders within the colleges and universities And the third was we held another event with the Mentors Challenge. One of the community colleges of Rhode Island, we deliver critical information to challenge regulators and industry leaders to further advance responsible gaming. There were 50 attendees. There was also another webinar for influential adults to provide information on looking out for warning signs and challenging adults to speak to youth about gambling. Basically, the overall objective was to be able to raise awareness within the colleges and universities. If there's no questions, we can go on to the next slide, please. The final
question, Scott.
I do apologize.
Oh, please, no worries. I like this programming very much. I appreciate the attention to the college market and the particular vulnerabilities there. Any thoughts of expanding this programming into Massachusetts? It looks like it's all in Rhode Island right now.
Yes, it was. I mean, it's a pilot. It was because we have land base and it was initially a pilot, but due to the success of what we feel it was a great success of BGAM, absolutely we'll be looking now to roll that along with other initiatives as well from Massachusetts.
Excellent, thank you.
And going on to successes, we also had a initiative. Basically, we had a campaign across all our active players. So we communicated to all our active players around the normalization of responsible gambling tools. We don't want to feel that you only need to set a responsible gambling tool. If you have a problem with your gambling, it should just be normalized, hence why we're working hard on our language. We communicated with all our patrons across Bally's. I'm not going to go through obviously all this data, just focus on Massachusetts. We had a great increase. Ironically, presenting today, we had the largest increase in our deposit limits increase, stagnant on wage limits and stagnant on loss limits. Deposit limits seems to be the limit which our patrons are more comfortable to set. I don't think there's any more slides for me. But as I say, it's been my final time presenting to the Commission, and I thank you for the opportunity.
Do we have any further questions for Bally's?
All right. I think we can
Thank
pull
you.
that slide down. Thank you so much. All right. We appreciate Bally's time on these matters and know that we'll get additional information between now and the next meeting. All right. Kicking it back over to sports wagering.
Thank you, Chair. Moving right along with the agenda. Up next is Bet MGM. Turn it right over to Sarah. Good afternoon, Sarah.
Hey there. Great to see you all again. Seems to be weekly almost these days. But happy to be joined here with my team and kicking off our presentation. I know Rich Eggy will share our deck. And Josh Wiseman is not with us today. He is on some well-deserved PTO, so he won't be presenting, but I'm sure missed. Rich, I don't see your presentation. And you're on mute. Okay, everybody's had issues today, evidently. Must be the summer. There you go. Okay, I'll be presenting on revenue first. Go ahead, Rich. We've got our Q4 and Q1 numbers. Our handle rather remain the same at 1.5%. Revenue went up slightly, 14.2 million in Q1, over 12.6 in Q4. Next slide. Vendor utility. Our total vendor spend went down a bit in Q1, but our diversity vendor spend went up to 2.4 million. And you can see the breakdown thereafter, how those funds were allocated, higher in some areas, lower in others. And our local vendor utility was up slightly in Q1, 1.5 million. And you can see our diversity mix was, again, a bit lower. Often these spends are just seasonal with the sports calendar. Next slide, human resources. I'm going to pass it over to Jasmine.
Hi, everyone. You can go to the next slide, Rich. Okay. So if you look at our headcount between 2024, Q4 2024 and Q1 of this year, we decreased our headcount by 29 employees. But with that, we also increased our percentage of minority employees 1% from 44 to 45%. Most notably, those increases happened at the supplier and executive levels of the company. You'll also notice that we had a decrease of 11 employees in Massachusetts, and I did a little digging to see where those 11 employees came from, and it was really a mix of folks across levels, across teams, so there's not really a trend or pattern there. It just so happens that we had a higher concentration of employees who exited the company between Q4 of 24 and Q1 of this year, just so happened to come from Massachusetts. Next slide. So when it comes to representation across our women and non-white employees, I've shared these two graphs here to show you the progress that we've made over time. And so this begins at 2019 with the inception of the company. And if we look at representation of women employees, you can see that we've steadily, for the most part, increased our representation of both women overall and women in leadership year over year. And if we take a look at our non-white representation, you'll see in the first few years, we steadily increased those numbers of non-white employees and non-white leaders. And then over the last few years, we've really been maintaining those numbers. And so when we look at progress and where we are to building a representative and inclusive workplace, until we can establish what good looks like for us, which I'll talk about here in a little bit, we're really focusing on ensuring that we aren't losing the progress that we've made over the last several years, and that we aren't increasing any gaps in our representation or even taking steps back. And so you'll also see that when it comes to employees who are identifying their race and ethnicity, that's also increased for us significantly over the years. When we started, almost 50% of our employees declined to identify their race and ethnicity, and through a lot of work and trust building, we've been able to get that number down to 10%, which is right in range with where we would want to be and what we would expect to see from employees given external market analysis. We move on to the next slide. So when it comes to building an inclusive workplace and ensuring that we have representation, I've been doing a lot of work over the last year, and I actually just celebrated my 1 year at MGM, which is so hard to believe. But in that year, I've been working on enhancing our career development and performance review processes, embedding inclusion, empathy, and respect behaviors across all of our leadership behavioral competencies. And specifically, we are working right now on those executive leadership behaviors and really doing the work to ensure that all of our executives understand what we expect to see from them and their behaviors when it comes to inclusion, empathy, and respect. We also hold every year in the summer, we have a summer learning series for all of our leaders across the company called Take the Lead. And I've been working with our facilitator to ensure that we're embedding the BetMGM philosophy around inclusion and respect in the workplace into our Take the Lead trainings. And so it's a series of workshops around everything from inclusive leadership to navigating difficult conversations, coaching and giving effective feedback. And so it's a series of workshops every summer that leaders across the company can take. In addition to doing that, I've been working closely with our people business partners to ensure that both they and the leaders that they support have the insights that they need in order to take action that's going to bring about a positive change across the company when we look at our twice annual workplace experience survey. So we just launched our spring survey a couple of months ago, and now we're in that stage now where we are taking action and looking at our progress in order to ensure that each leader is doing the work that they need to do to create a positive and welcoming and inclusive experience for each of their employees. I am also in the final stages of building what I am calling an inclusion toolkit, and it's a library of resources and best practices that's available to all employees across the company related to a variety of topics, from navigating difficult conversations to fostering safety and trust on your teams, to how to hold inclusive meetings and give effective feedback. And then finally, I, after the launch of our Q1 self-ID campaign, we're now in this stage where we are doing the work of analyzing our people data, looking at the external data, collecting industry data in order to really establish what good looks like for BetMGM across the employee lifecycle. So all of that work and that research is happening now so that we know and have an idea of what good looks like for us and where we want to go as a company across the various areas around the employee lifecycle. The work that's coming is supporting leaders and HR with succession planning and providing tailored development plans to employees, as well as beginning the work with all of our functional team leaders to start to identifying where are there opportunities to embed inclusion across their teams and into their strategic plans, and then actively doing that work. Any questions for me?
Questions, commissioners? Commissioner Skinner?
Miss Polite, hi. I do have a couple questions around your numbers for Massachusetts employees. Do you have plans to ramp up your recruitment efforts in the Commonwealth in light of those losses?
Yes, we do. We're actually looking now to identify what are the opportunities that we want to take advantage of. Something that we've started doing is we have Circa job board. And so we are doing more pushes with Circa, but then we're looking at opportunities of where can we actually show up in person and do some more of that recruitment and just raising awareness around BetMGM and the opportunities that exist.
Okay, thank you. And also just a comment, pleased to see your increase in the voluntary identification of ethnicity, et cetera, and for your diversity numbers. I think that makes a significant difference in your reporting. What efforts did you employ to shift those numbers up from you said it was 50%, and now it's down to 50% who did not self-report?
Down to 10.
Down to 10. What
Yes.
what strategies did you employ to get there?
A lot of it was just really strong communication. And so talking to employees about why we ask for their personal identifying information and the ways that we use it. It took a lot of work and establishing like champions across the company who can really speak to why it's important to give us that information. But in doing so, we were able to build trust and ensure employees that their information is not going to be shared in any way that's not compliant with the company and how we operate, but also going to be used to develop programs that benefit them and opportunities that really support them. And so by doing that work, which takes time, it was really pivotal in helping us to build that trust with employees so that they would be willing to give us that information, particularly in jurisdictions like Canada, where they don't actually have to give us any information because of their data privacy laws. We actually saw that almost 100% of our Canadian employees were more than willing to provide that information to us, even though they didn't have to.
That's great. And kudos to you after only a year's time, and happy anniversary to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Skinner, and I share her sentiments. Anything else, commissioners? All right.
All right, I think I'm up now. Good afternoon, Chair Maynard, commissioners and staff. Rich Taylor, Director of Responsible Gambling for BetMGM. And I'll first be starting with our underage access slide. So in Q1, we had one failed age verification, one attempted underage registration, 6 suspected underage use of accounts, and 2 confirmed cases. These 2 cases were linked to the same individual. So there was one underage person who attempted and used 2 different accounts, and that was flagged to our suspicious activity and fraud team, where they determined that they were valid cases. Commissioner O'Brien, to answer your question previously, our system does not allow those who are under the age of 21 to enter a date of birth. So that's why these numbers are as low as they are, and they're not as high as one of the other operators from the previous presentation.
So can I ask you, do you capture those that enter the under 21, that raw number?
Andrew Souls, our Senior Manager of Suspicious Activity, he's on this call. He can answer that question. I do not believe it does, though.
That's correct. We do not capture that information.
What was that? It does not capture, you said?
We don't capture the amount of people who attempt to put in a date of birth under 21. The system just rejects the attempt straightforward.
Okay.
Can you try that one more time? I didn't get it.
So if someone tries to register with a date of birth under 21 on the system, it just won't even allow them to input that date of birth. They won't be able to progress any further in that. And the fact that they tried and failed to input a date of birth under 21 does not get captured within our backend data.
Mm-hmm. So I have a follow-up that you may not want to answer in this environment, but if you have that, and then immediately that person attempts to make themselves 21, does your system capture that? And if you don't want to answer that in the public setting, you can just get back to Carrie on the answer to that.
Yeah, so certainly would be very happy to dive into the nitty-gritty of how the system operates and explain it fully. Short answer is that if someone then provided a DOB over 21, which obviously would be an incorrect DOB, they would not be able to pass the KYC verification system and would have to go through a different process to establish an account, at which time they would likely be caught and prevented from opening an actual account.
Thank you, Andrew. We're gonna have to get you a new microphone for the next meeting. Next slide, please.
I was having to watch I had to scroll down the video and watch it. So
All right, so Q1 obviously is a big quarter for BetMGM and our responsible gambling efforts. It contains Problem Gambling Awareness Month in March. As you can see here, the data around our limits, while low, continues to trend in the right direction, with more users opting to use our time limits, deposit limits, and spend limits in Q1 than any previous quarter. Cool off was relatively flat. We actually saw a decline from Q4 of 2024. And then self-exclusion is definitely flat, 0.1% across the board there. This makes sense, I think, from a perspective of us really leaning into promoting our responsible gambling tools, both through our Connor McDavid commercial, which you may have seen if you've watched certain sporting events, but also our direct contact with our players. Any instance of a responsible gambling review by my team, when we reach out to those players and make a determination to allow them to continue to wager, we are putting at the very top of that email encouragement to sign up to use these tools and the value that these tools will bring. We're going to continue to lean into this. Responsible Gaming Education Month is coming up in September, and a focal point for us will be the promotion of these tools. And I think the gentleman from Bally's earlier said it best. We want our players to think of these tools not as something that you need from a problem gambling perspective, but from a user experience perspective to help them enjoy this for what it should be, which is fun and entertainment, and for no other means. So I'm encouraged by these numbers. While I admit that they're still relatively low, I think we'll continue to see this trend increase over the next few quarters. Any questions regarding tools? Okay, and this is just a drill down into the cool off data, which again remained relatively stable but declined from Q4. All right, next slide. All right, so Problem Gambling Awareness Month, two-pronged approach. So first, we focused on public-facing efforts, including our press release and social posts, which I'll show here in a little bit. But also employee-facing. It's a great opportunity for us at BetMGM to reinforce our company's ethos and approach to responsible gambling and problem gambling support. So we're very proud to renew our agreement with Epic Global Solutions, which we'll talk a little bit about here in a forthcoming slide, but also weekly reminders and contests to help drive engagement amongst all of our employees so that they really get into the spirit of Problem Gambling Awareness Month, and most importantly, how they in their capacity at BetMGM can help support our players in making the right decisions, even if that includes the decision to take a cool off or to go on self-exclusion and remove themselves from the ability to wager within our platform, something that we encourage all of our employees to support our players in making that decision. Next slide. This press release captures, a lot of the efforts that we and our parent company, MGM Resorts, worked on in March. We were proud to work with Kindbridge, both Research Institute. So MGM Resorts donated $180,000 to Kindbridge Research Institute to study the development of responsible gaming strategies. And then, of course, we have expanded our Kindbridge offerings across all jurisdictions to allow our players who self-exclude or go on a long-term cool-off the opportunity to review those programs and resources that Kindbridge offers and make a decision if they want to follow through and pursue those or not. So we're very proud of the work we're doing in this area to provide those who do need that care and assistance, something a little bit extra than just the helpline number and the link to self-exclusion, which of course we will continue to always offer our players who are exiting the platform. Next slide, please. These are just a few of the ways that we promoted this via our social media channel. So, NCPG, as the owner of the campaign itself, received a lot of airtime, and we promoted the national helpline number 1-800-GAMBLER across these channels. And then also Problem Gambling Screening Day, we sent out a post celebrating that on March 11th, 2025, and directing those users to the Cambridge Health Alliance Division on Addiction so that they can take that screener themselves and determine if they need any additional help or resources. So social media is going to obviously be a big part of how we talk to our players. And so with that comes an opportunity for us to talk to them about responsible and problem gambling as well. Next slide. These are the player emails that we sent to all of our players. So the entire database, including every player in Massachusetts, received this email highlighting Problem Gambling Awareness Month, its meaning, and then, of course, how BetMGM through the Game Sense program continues to encourage its players to bet responsibly or to seek help and assistance should they require it. In addition to the email that we sent directly to all of our players, we also updated our BetMGM homepage banners. And so this is the same banner where you will see offers and different promotions that we're running, giving equal time to responsible gambling. We use this opportunity to promote Problem Gambling Awareness Month and provide a link directly to the NCPG's website so that all of our users can learn about the warning signs related to problem gambling, how it can manifest, and then, of course, the help and resources that exist within their state so that they can address those concerns if they have any of them. Next slide. This is our internal blog. So one of the things that we're really trying to do is get the messaging out there to our employees. I think there is a direct connection between raising awareness with our employees, either through formal training and education opportunities, as well as just getting airtime during our all hands calls that we have on a weekly basis, where all employees get an update from our Chief Executive Officer, Adam Greenblatt, about the company. We are given equal time there to talk about what we're doing in the realm of responsible and problem gambling to help raise that awareness and give our employees the encouragement to be a champion of responsible gambling in their areas. A lot of the best ideas that I get on how we can improve our program come from our rank and file employees. So this is a great time to plug that and to let them know that our door is always open if there's anything that they want to talk about regarding responsible gambling and problem gambling. And so this blog is just an extension of that effort to really make sure that we're finding different ways to put out the good word about responsible and problem gambling and all the good things that we're doing. Next slide. And then finally, I'll close it out by talking about the Epic Global Solutions lived experience sessions. These continue to be a really special event for all of our employees. And these are just some of the comments that we received from the employees who attended these sessions. I think it's important to highlight that over 700 employees attended each of these sessions. These are voluntary sessions. Employees are given the opportunity to sign up and learn from somebody who's been there, done that when it comes to the devastation that is problem gambling and gambling addiction. And to see the comments from our employees and the support that they're giving, not only the facilitator, but each other around this topic really resonates with me. And I think it resonates with the entire company. So we'll continue to find new and interesting ways of bringing lived experience into our house to educate all of our employees about problem gambling. That way they understand what the human impact is. And so before they go and create a new offer or create a new tool or a new experience within our platform, hopefully in the back of their mind, they're thinking about these stories and they're weighing what this new tool, what this new offer may mean for somebody who is going through gambling addiction. So I think it's just overall a very powerful message and really reinforces what we're trying to do here at BetMGM, which is to create a product that is safe and enjoyable, and also one that provides support to those who need it. And that concludes my remarks. Are there any questions regarding responsible gambling in Q1 for BetMGM?
Commissioners, any questions? I think we're good.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Commissioners, and thank you, staff.
Thank you, Rich.
Okay, I will wrap us up. You can go to the next slide, Rich. All right, so as I mentioned a little bit earlier, we launched our self-ID campaign in Q1, and we had 87% of employees who updated their information. we also in Q1 started the process of redefining, reframing, and rebranding the DEI function. And I'm excited to say that that's in its final stages now. So what that means is the scope of the function has expanded to include not only all of our inclusion work, but also company culture, some aspects of employee engagement, recognition, and employee well-being. We actually have a recognition program rolling out here over the next couple of weeks. And at the same time that our DEI function was going through its rebrand, our ERGs were also rebranding. And so that included updating their mission statements to make sure that they were aligned with the business and how our ERGs wanted to be perceived and how they wanted to show up to employees and to our external audiences, as well as their objectives, goals, and some ERGs even opted to update their name and logos. So in the next time we meet, you'll see some slight differences in our ERGs and how they're showing up, but we still have our same 7. And then finally in Q1, I held listening sessions with all of our Toronto-based employees to really understand their experiences, their needs, challenges, and what they wanted to see more of. And coming out of that conversation, we had some really great next steps, one of which is ensuring that our employees get the supports that they need before and after our peak season. So we are actually looking at rolling out here in the next month ahead of NFL season, some health, wellness, and tips for our employees on how to just make sure they're taking care of themselves before we go into these really stressful peak times. Next slide. Actually, and then the next one. So some of the work that we did in Q1 is while I was in Canada holding those listening sessions as a group, we got together and packed hygiene kits for the Fred Victor mission, which supports Toronto residents facing poverty and homelessness. So you can see a photo there of our office manager who is handing the kits out to the director of the Fred Victor mission. During Black History Month, our Black Employee Network held some programming, which included employee spotlights, both internally and externally. We held a Black History trivia event with the company. We did some virtual speed networking, which got great feedback from employees who participated. And then we had an event at our Jersey City office, which included painting, karaoke, and just an opportunity for everyone to get together. And then in March for Women's History Month, we held some programming which featured an employee panel discussion with women employees across various levels, teams, really trying to just show the varied experiences of women across the company, particularly in this industry, as well as an in-office networking and trivia event. And that, I believe, is it. Yes.
Sounds like some good events there. Educational opportunities. Commissioners, questions? All right, I think we can take that down. All right, any more questions for Sarah, Rich, the whole team? Sarah, I think we're good.
Thank you. Thanks for your time today. See you soon.
Thank you. Commissioners, do we need a quick break or keep going? How are we doing? Commissioner Broder says we could use a quick break. So I think we have 3 more. So we'll meet here at about 10 minutes. Mills, I think you can take that down when you're ready. All right. So this is a reconvening in the Massachusetts Gaming Commission. It's approximately 2:30. So good afternoon, Commissioner O'Brien.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Commissioner Hill.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Commissioner Skinner.
Good afternoon.
And good afternoon, Commissioner Broder.
Still here, Mr. Chairman.
We're all still here. All right. With that, I'm going to turn it back over to sports wagering.
Yeah, and I'll quickly turn it right over to Fanatics Betting and Gaming, Michael Levine, to start their Q1 presentation. Michael.
All right. What do you all see on the screen?
We can't see your.
I see your logo.
Ah, beautiful. All right, we're ready to roll. All right. Well, good afternoon, Chair, Commissioners, MGC staff. Mike Levine here from Fanatics Betting and Gaming. Today, my colleague Steph Althouse, who's our Senior Director of Human Resources, as well as Anthony D'Angelo, our Head of Responsible Gambling, and I will present our Q1 results for 2025 in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. To start, I'll discuss our Q1 revenue results in Massachusetts. Sports wagering revenue was approximately 8.9 million, and the taxes remitted to the Commonwealth was approximately 1.7. That being said, I'm going to pass it off to Steph.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Thanks for having me back. It's good to see you all this quarter. So yeah, sure. I'll kick it into our global metrics that we had for Q1 of 2025. So quarter over quarter from Q4, we've remained relatively steady in the percentages that we're seeing displayed here on the screen. However, from a global perspective, we did see a small increase in actual numbers of employees, more specifically in the minority, women, and veteran categories across the manager and supervisor level. So out of the hires quarter over quarter, 26% of those hires actually landed in this distinct manager and supervisor bucket for diversity. On the next slide, Mike, we have some of our actuals and target goals that we have for this year. So just about a month and a half, two months ago, we took a look at our current percentages across both global and domestic diversity and female representation aligned on the goals that you see here. So as you can see, our goals that we have range from a 1% to a 3% increase across different categories. For this year, we wanted to make sure that while modest in improvement, we wanted to make sure that both of these goals were realistic and also meaningful in approach. So with these goals in mind, we continue to remain committed to ongoing monitoring and adjustments where need be, continuing to track through our regular reporting and also tweak our tactics as needed. With that being said, one of our more recent developments within the people team for FBG is that we are also looking for, bringing a dedicated resource on that will help us build more rigid processes around some of our talent acquisition operations. So more specifically, focal points will be to track closer to these metrics, being able to provide more granular reporting and dashboards to senior leadership and come up with insights as well. So this will help us understand what we're doing that works really well, along with where we need to check and adjust and how frequently we need to do so. In the coming months, we continue to ramp our growth and headcount in FBG, and we'll continue to focus our efforts more specifically in the tech areas, sourcing from areas such as Black women in tech, LGBTQ and STEM, Code 2040 alumni, tech inclusion, and women who code as some of these specific examples. For the US metrics as well that we have on the screen, just to call out the executive minority percentage, actually reserve is 10%, not 1%. So although it is one individual, it's a smaller team, but it is 10%. So I think there's a fat finger there probably from myself, but just wanted to call that out. Similar to the global slide, we did see minimal changes in the overall percentages quarter over quarter in US. But I did want to notate it specifically around the US metrics that we did see some differences year over year. So we did see increased numbers in some areas. I think most notable discussion is around the manager level within the women category. And I think right now, more specifically than anything, it's a big focus of ours, not only for our hiring talent, but then also just internally as well, as we're looking towards, performance and promotions, as we actually have an upcoming promotion cycle in Q3. And then we're gearing to plan for the same in Q4 and Q1 of next year. On the next slide, I know we frequent some of the discussion around IDEA and just inclusion, diversity, equity, and allyship, and what that means for goals and initiatives and how we plan that across Fanatics. I think what's also, notable for discussion is just around, how do we get there? And so a lot of that is around our people culture and holding ourselves accountable to that. So within the people sector, we want to make sure that we're championing representation across all levels. And as part of our people strategy, we do, Fanatics is establishing measurable ways to continue to understand our makeup and representation across all employees globally. From a culture perspective, we want to make sure that we are creating a world-class employee experience in what we're doing and providing. So we continue to offer a wide range of IDEA propositions in learning and development opportunities, including online learning, resources, and interactive experiences to provide personal and professional growth opportunities. One of which is championed at Current around some of our mentorship programs, which I'm personally a part of, and I get to be a mentor to a really great TA representative in one of our other operating companies. And I'm learning much more from her than she's probably learning from me, but it's a great opportunity from both ends. And then lastly is accountability. So intentional commitments to the support of our DEI and IDEA strategy initiatives. So we can only go as far as what we're holding ourselves accountable to. So we want to make sure that we're leading with inclusion. Of course, with our Fanatics Alliance networks, and our IDEA champions have to continue to, shape our culture and inclusion of our belonging. In the next slide, I know we talk about our Fanatics Alliance networks, or our fans. And we had announced in last quarter that we were coming up with 2 new fan groups. So we've officially launched those fan groups this year, which is ACE, the Asian American and Pacific Islander AAPI Community Engagement Group. And essentially their mission is to celebrate, support, and advocate for the AAPI community while fostering a culture of belonging and allyship. And secondly is Latinx, which is now dubbed as La Liga, translated to the League. And essentially the name is inspired by Spain's premier football league, which essentially has long been a unifying force across Hispanic and Latino communities. Soccer is more than just a sport. I think it shares a passion with those who bring people together, transcending borders and culture. So we take a lot of pride and a deep cultural connection that reflects our heritage and values for this brand new fan group that we established this year. On the next slide, Mike, are some of the Q1 events that we held this year. So Boardroom and Fanatics were excited to launch the chapter of Chapter Next, which is a series of 3-day professional development programs, which aim to accelerate athletes' transition into business after their time on the field, ice, or court. As an expansion of Fanatics Athletes Immersion Program, it is launched, which was launched in November of 2023. Fanatics collaborated with sports media and entertainment brand Boardroom to offer 3 days of professional development initiatives designed specifically for athletes and their management teams to help their transition into the real world of business. Secondly, like many of us, Fanatics was devastated by the Los Angeles fires and impact that it had on the city and the surrounding communities. And so some of the things that the Fanatics kind of, created and went about was creating LA Strong merchandise, where we collaborated with LA area teams and leagues and partners to create the LA Strong t-shirts, where all proceeds were donated to the American Red Cross and the LA Fire Department Foundation. We also created donation funds within our philanthropy platforms, where Fanatics was able to match employees' donations dollar for dollar. And then we also provided on-the-ground support for more than 10,000 employees who had been evacuated from their homes in January. So this included different merchandise and home essential items to support those that were impacted. And then we also held Global Volunteer Day this year, where it was 15 countries were involved, 200 sites, 4,000 plus employees, 15,000 plus volunteer hours, and over 6 million people were impacted. I personally was able to participate in Global Volunteer Day this year, where I was able to go to a Valley Youth House in the local community in Philadelphia, where we painted and organized different items, household items and clothing for the youth around the Philadelphia area. And those of you that don't know, Valley Youth House is a nonprofit organization who essentially dedicated to supporting young individuals achieving their desired future. So they focus on building genuine relationships, providing safe space, and foster community connections with young individuals and their families. So it was an amazing thing to be a part of this year. And with that, Mike, I will hand it back over to you.
Thanks, Steph. Any questions, commissioners, before we move on?
Commissioners? Not at this time, Mike.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, so we're going to talk quickly about vendor spend here in the Commonwealth. Total vendor spend in Q1 was approximately 1.2 million. And the total diverse spend across the company in Q1 is approximately $800,000. One thing to note, while it wasn't in Q1, FBG team did participate in the Diverse Vendor Opportunity Fair put on by the MGC. So we greatly appreciate for that opportunity. We found it very useful and appreciated the opportunity to interact with some of the diverse vendors around the Massachusetts community. With that said, I'm going to pass it off to our head of responsible gambling, Anthony D'Angelo.
Thank you, Mike. Good afternoon, Chair, Commissioners, MGC staff, and fellow colleagues. I'm Anthony D'Angelo.
I'm having a difficult time hearing you.
Sometimes I got to prime my mic up. Did that work now? Or hear me a little better?
I hear you much better.
Okay, I don't know why it is, but I got to rev it up like an old engine. So I am the head of RG. My name is Anthony D'Angelo. Appreciate the handoff, Mike. Good afternoon, Chair, Commissioners, and MGC staff. So I'll take you through the RG slides. The first slide you see here is our underage report metrics. So in the first column, you'll see here underage registration attempts. We saw 29 in Q1. Suspected underage account use, we saw 16, and then confirmed underage is 0. Any questions on that? And obviously, Commissioner O'Brien, being here for the previous presentations, any questions you have or follow-ups, we'll be sure to answer you promptly. So just let me know if there's any answer now.
I guess the only question I have is, thanks. If they go in and attempt access,
sure,
are you capturing failed attempts, or is it only if they go past and you guys suss out that it's under 21?
Yeah, so I can spend a little time on that. So our platform is 21 plus across the route. So there's no opportunity for someone to advance through our KYC process by entering an age under 21. However, if somebody did try to enter an age under 21, over 21, maybe they weren't 21 previously, they would fail KYC, and then the flag would come back to us from our provider saying that the date of births don't match and it's an underage professional, or an underage person. But the blocks, I guess, happen at the UI level, so the customer would not be able to advance into the KYC flow. But we are made aware in those circumstances in which they do change their date of birth to a higher date of birth, if that makes sense. Great.
Thank you.
No worries. You can go to the next slide, Mike. Here is our VSE metrics for the rolling 12 months in January, February, March. Pretty standard with respect to numbers. All these folks would have been blocked at the point of ingestion of the VSE list from the MGC or at account creation if they weren't account holders previously. We had no reportable incidents in Q1 where an excluded person had waged on our platform. So, if no questions there, we can go to the next slide. Here's our RG tool metrics, usage in mass. So we have about 105,000 or had about 105,000 active users at the end of Q1 in Massachusetts. The numbers continue to rise, which is great as the new account holders, create accounts. They do set limits. The limits are obviously pretty low percentage. I think that's just industry standard with respect to limits. So we are obviously working on some solutions similar to some of our colleagues in the space on offering some non-limitation RG tools. And once we do, we'll come to the MGC, for the variance and approval for those tools. However, it is nice to see that our limits continue to increase, or limit numbers continue to increase, albeit small. Deposit limits are always going to be the ones that we get the most play on, and spend limits, which is a wager limit or loss limit for us, is our second highest. Any questions there? Okay, so next slide, please, Mike. The next 3 or so slides, I'll walk you through our PGAM work this year. Fanatics is a relatively new, operator in the space, so we are constantly doing more every PGAM and RGEM. This year, or this go around, or actually every year, we always roll out a brand new RG training for our employees. We believe that training the customer-facing staff obviously helps support the customers and identify potential signs of at-risk play. So our job to train the staff to help identify and also service customers who need it is important. Apologies for 1 second. Sorry, my son is homesick today from camp, and he's.
Please do not apologize. I hope he gets better.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, give me a second. So part of our new training every year we roll out is we talk about our commitment to PG and RG, how we promote RG, how we responsibly market, and also specifically to our VIP staff, retail staff, and customer-facing staff, how we service and how we identify problem play, and then an assessment at the end. We want to make sure our employees are obviously retaining the information, so we do ask the employees to complete a assessment at the end, and passing grade of, I think, 80%. Go to the next slide, please, Mike. We also announced in March our partnership with Birch's Health. So Birch's Health is a behavioral health organization in the Commonwealth, but also across the United States and all 23 jurisdictions. We partner with a behavioral health company, which is interesting because it's typically used for a PG or compulsive gambling spin, but Birch's actually has a pretty awesome digital platform in which we provide all customers access to it, which gives us the ability to provide an additional avenue of tools and resources to customers who want it. So you can access the Birch's link at any given time by going to bircheshealth.com/fanatics. And you can kind of create an account and actually log in and play around with some of the information and tools. Additionally, on top of the content, on top of the tool, the tools and the budgeting calculators and things like that it offers, there is the opportunity to get a little more personalized support through peer support, as well as if you want help in excluding in some of the jurisdictions or in all the jurisdictions that we operate, understanding that in some jurisdictions it's not as easy as going to a portal like it is in Mass. You actually have to go to the casino or go sign up somewhere. So customers are walked through the process of signing up with a representative from Birch's. And again, if they want peer support, that's offered as well. Everything's free to the customer, and really, really excited about that partnership. Any questions there? And then lastly, our education plan for the general public. In Massachusetts, we participated in the comms that we did send to all of our Massachusetts customers in partnership with the MACGH as well as Vermont and the MGC. So that's what you see on the right-hand side of your screen. That went to all 105,000, at the time, 105,000 customers of ours in Mass. And then lastly, we have a Play with a Plan RG module, which was at the very forefront of our app and our page. So when you logged into our app, you would see at the very tippy top, some more resources and information on how to play, with a plan in the Commonwealth, but also beyond in every jurisdiction. So, any questions there, please let me know.
I have no questions, but my comment is I wish I had that kind of enthusiasm when I was sick.
Yeah, it's been a day.
That's awesome.
I appreciate your understanding that it's
Yeah, we've all been there.
Kids come first. Period.
100%. I think that's it for me, obviously, unless you have any
And dogs come second.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
All right, thanks, Ant. Thanks, Steph. I'll just round us out here, talk about some of our community initiatives and outreach here at Fanatics generally. Steph already touched on the LA wildfire relief and aid support. Of note, one of the things to highlight is we served over 10,000 people in the evacuated zones, provided clothing, food, baby essentials, and shoes to those affected. Commissioner Hill, this is for you. On Make-A-Wish, we had over 60 Make-A-Wish related wishes granted in Q1. I'm going to note 3. We sent 19 wish recipients to the Super Bowl. We hosted 7 wish recipients at the NBA All-Star Game. And then we hosted 3 wish recipients at a New Jersey Devils game, where it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for them to be behind the scenes with the New Jersey Devils. One other thing to note is community impact grants. So one of the things that Fanatics does is we provide community impact grants, 20 in total annually, to individuals throughout the country who want to make an impact in their associated community. We received hundreds of nominations, and there will be, in the next couple of weeks, we'll be announcing who those recipients are. And then lastly, this past quarter, in addition to what we did with the LA wildfire relief and aid support, we donated over $700,000 in merchandise to nonprofits across the globe. And that rounds out our Q1 presentation. Any questions?
Just a comment. I love those Make-A-Wish stories. Thank you for continuing to work with them.
Yeah, we appreciate the opportunity.
Okay. Anything else before we open the floor? Anything else we want to hear? Can we take that down? I just have a hard time seeing everybody. Thank you. All right, Mike, I think you and your team are off the hook.
Awesome. Appreciate everyone's time today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, Andrew, who do we have next?
Next up is FanDuel. I know Ian's going to be running the PowerPoint, and I see Rich on as well. Good afternoon, Rich.
Thanks very much, Andrew. And good afternoon, Chair, Commissioners, and staff. Thank you for having us again to present our sports wagering report for the first quarter of 2025. I'm joined by a few colleagues today. Keita Young, whom the Commission has met, our Vice President of Community Impact. As Keita mentioned, I believe at the last quarterly meeting, she shifted into a new role and is very excited to explain and describe all the great work she's doing there. We're also joined by JJ Jelks, our new Vice President of Inclusion, who we're thrilled to have join us, and we'll walk you through her area, as well as Cameron Zuckert, who is a late addition. The slide's been updated. A Senior Manager of Responsible Gaming, who will walk you through that area as well. Why don't we go to the next slide, please? And the next one. The quarterly revenue report is on the screen. I won't read the numbers to the Commission. These were all previously in our public reporting in the Commonwealth. Can we go to the next slide, please? With respect to underage registration attempts and suspected and confirmed underage use, the Commission can see the numbers on the screen. We had previously at prior quarterly meetings described what falls into each of these categories. And we've discussed with the staff some of the additional tooling that we've put in place to identify instances of suspected underage use of an account in the Commonwealth and in all of our other jurisdictions. But the Commission can see the numbers on the screen. Happy to take any questions about this before we move on to the next section.
Commissioner O'Brien, others?
Just I've message to Carrie that just some follow-ups will be coming out to all the operators in terms of whether they capture the failed attempts, and if so, what the definitions are, and some of the other stuff that we've talked about. So I think more meaningful follow-up probably the next time around.
Thank you, Commissioner. We'll be on the lookout for that. All right. Why don't we go to the next slide, and I'm going to hand it off to Cameron Zucker.
Thanks, Rich. Good afternoon, Chair, Commissioners, staff. My name is Cam Zuckert, Senior Manager on the Responsible Gaming team, and it's a pleasure to be here with you this afternoon. I'm going to kick off this RG section with an overview of our responsible gaming tools, including an intro to our new responsible gaming innovation called Real-Time Check-In, which is summarized here. Real-Time Check-In is a new technology that combines deposit data with machine learning to empower our customers to manage their spend in real time. What that means is at-scale check-ins the moment a customer deviates from their standard deposit pattern. So how this works is when a customer makes a deposit that is inconsistent with a forecast that's based on their previous behavior, Real-Time Check-In prompts them to review that deposit and suggests lowering the amount back to their established range. If the customer decides to go ahead and make that larger deposit that surpasses the upper bound of the model, they'll then be required to set a deposit limit moving forward and review their spending habits via our MySpend dashboard, which is one of our RG tools. We've included some examples of the different tiers of real-time check-in at the bottom of this slide. So the first one is a notification of the higher than usual amount with a suggestion to lower it and noting the importance of sticking to a budget. The second is a more direct prompt and a requirement to either lower the deposit amount immediately, or if they move forward with the deposit, set a deposit limit going forward. It's also worth noting on the deposit limit front that once a deposit limit is set, players are subject to a cool down period where they can't just immediately raise the deposit limit again. So to summarize real-time check-in, the ability to analyze and model players' personalized deposit behavior across our products allows us to implement more of a proactive safeguard that will give players real-time information and help them make informed decisions about their level of spend. Any questions here before we move on?
Seeing none.
Okay, can we go to the next slide, please? Great. For an overview of our Q1 metrics on voluntary self-exclusion and timeouts, in the first quarter, we had 131 voluntary self-exclusions. And want to note within our platform, we do direct customers to GameSense resources, both generally and at the point of self-exclusion as well. With regards to timeouts, 1.2% of Massachusetts accounts elected to take a timeout, and those timeouts had a median length of 28 days. And just noting that we offer timeouts for any amount of days between 3 and 365. Next slide, please. When it comes to our tool usage, our most popular core tool is deposit limits, with 3.4% of our active users using this tool in Q1. This is pretty consistent with the end of 2024. And it's generally the case that deposit limits is our most popular of the core tools. We also saw usage rates for wager limits, maximum wager size, and time limits all staying pretty consistent with past quarters. Regarding the player activity statement and MySpend tools, both of these are aimed at providing players with details on their spend and wagering activity on the platform. And the decrease that you'll see over time over the last few quarters in the player activity statement usage is due to a strategic shift on FanDuel's end to more heavily promote MySpend, as it's essentially a more robust tool on the analytic and spend activity monitoring front, and links and ties directly to our deposit limits tool as well. I do want to call out the fluctuation in MySpend usage between Q4 of last year and Q1 of this year. That's due to a couple key factors, one of which being seasonal fluctuations due to seasonal tentpole events like the NFL playoffs. The other being that in Q4 of last year, we put significant marketing investment behind the MySpend tool. We also launched a TV commercial called Shot in the Dark that likens playing without knowing how much you're spending to shooting a basketball in a gym with all of the lights off. So our goal of promotion around My Spend is really to present RG tools in a non-stigmatizing way and to help avoid that notion of, yeah, RG tools are great, but they're not for me. And we're continuing with marketing and promotion of the My Spend tool throughout this year with some various sweepstakes and promotions by our RG ambassadors as well. Any questions here? Okay, next slide, please. Regarding Problem Gambling Awareness Month, I'll share a brief overview of our external and internal efforts here that we're focused on raising awareness of educational resources and amplifying lived experience stories. We launched a first of its kind TV show in March called The Comeback with Craig Carton, where one of our primary RG ambassadors, Craig, hosts guests to talk through their experience, including their challenges with problem gambling and what their life looks like in recovery. The first episode of the show aired in March and featured two of our other RG ambassadors, Randy Livingston and Anita Ondine Smith. Overall, the show has been well received, and promotion of the show on social were some of our highest ever performing RG and problem gambling related social posts. So general reaction has been positive there. We also kicked off an underage gambling prevention ad campaign, which is designed to inspire parents to talk to their kids about the risks of underage gambling. The specific content in these ads is based on research and statistics from the University of Michigan's Mott Children's Hospital National Poll. And so it covers things like warning signs for potential underage gambling and likelihood of experiencing gambling-related harms later in life when teens are exposed to gambling. We also aired Problem Gambling Awareness Month specific ads on our FanDuel Sports Network channels featuring Randy and Anita Livingston, who are the faces of the Trusted Voices program. On Gambling Disorder Screening Day, which took place on March 11th, in Massachusetts, we worked with the Cambridge Health Alliance's Division on Addiction to empower customers with resources for informed decision-making, which involved providing confidential gambling disorder screener, highlighting telehealth counseling and support services, and amplification of Gambling Disorder Screening Day across our social channels. Specifically in Massachusetts, our Gambling Disorder Screening Day communications totaled almost 20,000 sends and almost 1,000 unique opens by our customers in Massachusetts. Regarding nonprofit support, FanDuel made a $150,000 donation to the National Council on Problem Gambling in March to further support their Agility Grants program, which provides funding to nonprofit organizations across the country for problem gambling prevention, specifically in communities or areas where there are very limited resources on that front. We also made an equivalent donation to the International Center for Responsible Gaming to help fund the creation of a center of excellence dedicated to advancing research on RG behaviors. Lastly, just to focus on our internal efforts, we coordinated several events for our employees with our partners at Epic Global Solutions and Kindbridge Behavioral Health, focused on both amplifying the importance of hearing lived experience stories and then summarizing the key employee benefits that are available through Kindbridge for gambling-related harm support. And there were several live sessions in March for employees to attend on both of those. And we also amplified our RG Champions program, which allows employees to nominate others who further our mission of establishing a culture of responsible gaming. And that results in shout outs via our internal channels and rewards points that they can redeem. If there are no questions, that summarizes our Problem Gambling Awareness Month. And I'm happy to turn it over. Thank you very much for the time this afternoon.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Hello, Commissioners. Keita Young, and it's a pleasure to be back here again speaking to all of you. So as Rich mentioned, and I think I mentioned during our last conversation in March, I have officially transitioned away from my role in the DE&I space. And you will soon have the opportunity to meet our new head of inclusion, JJ. And yes, the critical work is still continuing. And yes, we are still very much and thinking that inclusion is important, just as the first day I started here at FanDuel. So while I moved away from DE&I in my official capacity, I remain deeply committed to impactful work, and I am now leading and enhancing FanDuel's external efforts in community impact. Just with DE&I, our community impact efforts are rooted in intentionality, strategic, meaningful engagement, and our goal for community impact is to listen, identify, and support the needs of the communities where we live, work, and operate, and not in a performative gesture, but a core part of who we are as a company. So FanDuel's external community presence is not about checking a box, I can assure you that. It's about showing up in an impactful, thoughtful, corporate partnership, making a difference and dedicated change where we live, work, and operate. So as I said, I'm truly excited to be here today to walk you through our journey, our evolving approach to community impact at FanDuel. So as our company continues to expand across markets, it's more important than ever that we show up in those communities with purpose. That meaning creating measurable, meaningful change, not just growing in a footprint, but growth in community trust and well-being. One example I'm sure you're all familiar with is our partnership with Operation Hope, which focuses on advancing financial literacy. Today, we offer free one-on-one financial coaching in Massachusetts, Vermont, and Kentucky, and we've invested over $2.5 million to date in this effort. This partnership strengthens our commitment to responsible gaming by empowering people with the financial tools that they need. In fact, just before this meeting, I was on a call with Marlene Warner from the Massachusetts Council on Gaming and health and representatives from the Vermont Department of Mental Health discussing our continued work with GameSense. We are working hand in hand with Operation Hope to ensure our resources are reaching the communities that need them the most. Because it's not just about writing a check, it's about building partnerships that drive real impact with clear intentionality behind every decision. Some of our other additional recent community impact efforts include partnering with UNCF to provide emergency aid for HBCU students. And we also supported the disaster relief efforts in California, Georgia, and most recently, Missouri, following the devastating tornadoes. And we also are leaning in supporting military families and veterans with targeted outreach and aid. We're moving towards a more community-based strategy, one rooted in deep understanding of local needs. This means listening first, and then investing in grassroots organizations that are already doing incredible work. Our role is to elevate, support, and expand on that work, not just replace it. So more about our efforts in the veterans and first responders community. One exciting area we're currently exploring is how we can bring Operation Hope to veterans and military communities in Massachusetts, Kentucky, and Vermont. Financial literacy coaching has been potential to deliver long-lasting impact for those populations, and we believe is a critical step in our evolving mission. We recently partnered with Next 18, an organization that supports veterans and first responders through wellness programming and mental health education, using the game of golf as a therapeutic catalyst. And I'm proud to share that they're hosting their next camp this October at TBC Boston in Massachusetts for veterans and first responders in that area. Although I've been in this role for just a little over 4 months, I'm proud of all the progress we've made and the incredible energy of what's ahead. And I can tell you, are just getting started. Our evolving strategy is not just about charity, it's about purpose. It's long-term measurable impact with clear strategy, authentic partnerships, and clear outcomes. Community impact will be another way FanDuel wins, both in the market and in the communities that we serve. Next slide, please. Supplier diversity. FanDuel remains deeply committed to supplier diversity and local economic development, and in Q1 2025, achieving meaningful impact across these areas. So when you look at our numbers, our total company Small and diverse spend was roughly around 38 million. Massachusetts small business spend was around 12,585. Our Massachusetts diverse supplier spend was around 83,854, and our total in-state Massachusetts spend was 2.86 million. In June, like many of the other operators, we proudly represented ourselves at the Massachusetts-based supplier diversity event that brought together over 150 registered small and diverse business across critical sectors, including facilities, market, IT, and food services. As a major industry player in attendance, FanDuel had a very, very strong presence. We hosted our own branded booth, directly engaging with over 40 suppliers, fostering new connections and partnerships opportunities. A FanDuel procurement representative delivered a compelling presentation to the full audience titled, "How to Do Business with FanDuel, the #1 sportsbook," offering insights and practical guidance. And we introduced our QR-enabled supplier interest portal code, allowing attendees to seamlessly register and express interest, an impactful tool to grow our sourcing pipeline for future opportunities. FanDuel's presence and participation exemplifies our ongoing commitment to building an inclusive and dynamic supplier base. Beyond spend figures, we are driving sustainable, community-centered economic growth and opportunities across all of Massachusetts. Thank you again for having me today, and I look forward to continuing this important work and sharing all of our success with all of you. And now I'll turn it over to our head of inclusion, if there are no questions.
Any questions?
I will note that the literacy program, financial literacy, is very interesting to me. I know that the treasurer also of Massachusetts has made it a priority, and also will state that I'm glad you're in my native state of Kentucky doing that work. It's much needed.
Thank you.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much for the warm welcome, Kita. Excited to continue the amazing work you've done. And hello to everyone. It's nice to meet you all. I'm JJ, new head of inclusion, learning, and engagement here at FanDuel. And I'm excited to give this presentation to the commission for the first time. So over my first 4 months in the role, I've taken the opportunity to evaluate our priorities, programs, and partnerships as we remain, as Kita mentioned, committed to our principles. And this includes creating workspaces where all differences, perspectives, and experiences are valued and appreciated. And this includes, next slide. I think we're still on this one, Ian. Rich, Kita, do you guys still see the supplier relations slide?
I do. There we go.
Ian, one more back. There we go. Awesome. So this slide is talking about, our strategic focus being around 3 pillars, which is attracting top talent, elevating them with developmental opportunities, and of course, retaining them. So starting with attract, we're expanding our reach and access to top talent by building partnerships with organizations that connect us with diverse candidate pools, and also making sure we're tracking the outcomes to understand how many candidates profiles sourced through these partnerships actually lead to hires, and how that's going to impact representation year over year. And our next pillar, elevate, is about our internal talent. And we're engaging programs that Kita put in place, similar to McKinsey Leadership Academy and also Ezra Coaching, to help folks grow. And now we're tracking their progress. For example, are they getting promoted? Are they taking on new roles within the organization, et cetera? And really looking into the outcomes of our efforts. And we're also looking to view our ERGs as pipelines for diverse talent. We invest in their development, their leadership skill set, and we believe that this is creating a pathway for them to grow. And now we're tracking to see how their careers evolve in FanDuel. And additionally, we're focusing on our internal alumni activations that connect past and current leadership within our ERGs and our leadership academies. Again, we believe this creates internal networking, organic mentorship opportunities, and more spaces for community and learning. And our final pillar on this slide is retention. We want to be a place where people feel connected, supported, and motivated to stay and grow. And this year, we plan to continue our ERG summits because it promotes inclusion, collaboration, and community. And also an organizational opportunity for us to continue to show our commitment to this work by providing cross-functional exposure and learning opportunities. And we also, plan to continue our celebrations of heritage, investment in keynote speakers that provide a fresh perspective and a different lens to, view the world. And most importantly, we believe that tracking the outcomes of our efforts will allow us to deliver lasting results, build trust, and show how important this work is to our organization and that it's real to us. Next slide, please. This year, we've engaged with a number of organizations to partner and help us develop impactful programming for our people. So going from left to right, starting with our partnerships, we anticipate partnering with a number of organizations that offer coaching, training, and other unique engagement opportunities to our wider employee population and our ERGs. So a few examples include Ezra Career Coaching. This is where we offer 6 months of unlimited career coaching to our ERG leads, which displays our commitment into their individual growth and stewardship of our ERGs, and also giving them the tools we need to continue to track their career progression, because we too, as I mentioned before, believe this is a pipeline of talent. Next is Wise and Poker Power, which are just examples of 2 organizations we partner with to provide leadership development opportunities and workshops throughout the year for the women of FanDuel. Next example is Cockerham and Associates. So this is a little different thing that we tried this year. We've enlisted the third party to take a look at our practices and our operating model to ensure it really is best in class, and then help us create the most impact possible. Next is Team Red, White, and Blue. We've engaged with this group. They're the #1 veterans health and wellness organization, and they work to positively highlight the veterans experience. So we've leveraged their military leadership expertise into training for our ERG leads and also providing keynotes within our ERG's shield. And we continue to engage third parties to help us, with specific materials, facilitate training, and help us to amplify our effort. And then the last piece you'll see is investing in representation. We're looking for those right partners. Right now we have Pocket, Rewriting the Code, and a few more to help us expand our reach and be able to build that pipeline of talent. Next, for programming on the right side, for 2025 includes continuation of those ERG summits that I mentioned prior, developmental training, thinking outside of the box, providing ERGs with not just diverse training, but skill set training, because we do want them to be able to transcend our organization and continue to have and be that pipeline of diverse talent that's homegrown. Next is building and elevating our leadership academies. These are facilitated with McKinsey. We have University of Georgia partnership, and then also we're working to do things internally for us and building it within FanDuel. And then, of course, celebration of those cultural moments, and then finding the right keynote speakers that really resonate with our groups. Next slide, Ian. And this slide highlights a few of the events we briefly discussed and includes some photos with the participants who graduated from the McKinsey Leadership Academy, which is a program that equips our AA and HPI professionals with career tools, mentorship, and community. It also provides networking experiences with peers across 100 or more companies that are outside of FanDuel. And at the end of the program, we're able to host a FanDuel-only graduation celebration, which both recognizes their achievement and reinforces the learnings from the program. And this day includes intimate conversations with other AN and HPI leaders, career coaching, workshops, networking opportunities, and rounded out with a keynote provided by a best-selling author, Aline Herring. Next slide, please. And lastly, we'll bring you to our workforce diversity metrics. As you can see, there have been many steps in the previous slide, those examples, to increase our representation and ensure inclusion in the workforce by creating a lasting operating model with tangible outcomes. We believe that with this solid foundation, we won't lose ground in this space, and we'll be able to move forward with not only intention, but conviction. The main takeaway we would like to showcase here is a significant increase in the percentage of both women and minority employees at the executive VP plus level in the last 2 years, more than double in both categories. This reflects FanDuel's focus on creating an inclusive culture, and that work isn't stopping. It's something that we want to be here and last. And that is my last slide.
Thank you, JJ. Any questions? Congratulations.
Thank you.
And Commissioners, that brings us to the end of our prepared presentation. Happy to take any questions that the commission has.
We bring the slides down. Questions, comments, commissioners? All right, Rich, I think for you and your team, we appreciate it. Good to see everyone as always, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Thanks very much, Chair and Commission. Have a nice day.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, JJ. All right.
Last one, Commissioners. PSI, ESPN Bet will be up next, and Adam Cates and Amanda Gaffney will be running their presentation.
Thank you, Andrew. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Pleasure to be here today. Always a pleasure being last as well. I know this is a long day, so while our presentations are typically brief, it doesn't mean that we are not willing to engage and answer any questions. So please feel free to stop me at any given point if you want me to go into any further detail on any of these slides, and allow me to just pull this up. Okay, assuming everybody can see. Also, I typically do these presentations solo. Sometimes I bring members from our diversity or HR teams as well, but I figured you would all look forward to a change. So I brought Amanda Gaffney with me as well for the first time. Amanda reports to me, she's our Director of Regulatory Compliance, and the plan is to have Amanda more actively involved in these quarterly presentations. So this is sort of the transition period where I'll be doing it with her, and then you can expect to see more of Amanda going forward. Maybe a more friendly face compared to mine. So hopefully that all goes well. So I'll jump right into revenue. This slide is typically very straightforward. I'll leave this here for a few moments just in case anybody has any questions. But here is our quarterly revenue for Q1. Moving into our, sorry, 1 second, workforce diversity numbers. So after our last quarterly presentation, I did hear the Commission's request to speak more towards our goals and how we are tracking towards our goals that we initially set in our 2023 application. So I did add a line at the bottom. We did have some material that we could speak to that today. Our initial diversity goals included in our original application had a target of at least 50% of new hires belonging to one of the above categories, whether it's minority, women, or veterans, as well as Massachusetts residents. I am happy to say that Penn's current workforce, it does now exceed this target. I believe the exact number is between 52 and 54% at the time that this presentation was put together. So not only have we tracked towards our goals, but as of Q1 2025, we have now exceeded our target, and we are currently operating above 50% of our entire workforce belonging to one of these 4 categories. I'll pause there for any questions.
Questions?
Okay. Moving on to our vendor and supplier spend for diverse vendors. Again, we did include some reference to our initial 2023 application goals at the bottom. We did when we did provide our application, we had an annual target spend of at least $750,000, which we have since exceeded drastically. Actually, if you look at the year of 2024, 3 out of the 4 quarters, our quarterly spend actually exceeded our target annual spend of $750. So I can appreciate that the fact that we have now sort of gone over and above our numbers, perhaps our goals may change, but I can report for the year of 2024 that we have since greatly exceeded our goal, and we have no intentions to believe that 2025 spend will be any different. So I will also pause there. All right. Moving along to compliance. So this is where I will let Amanda jump in and share some information on this slide.
Thank you, Adam. So in Q1 of this year, we saw 49 underage registration attempts and 0 suspected underage use of accounts and confirmed use of accounts. In Q1, our KYC process included a requirement to upload a piece of ID and a selfie. This additional requirement likely played a role in underage users potentially abandoning the KYC flow prior to account creation. Any questions on this slide?
Questions? I'm seeing none. Understanding there's going to be some clarification.
Understood. Moving on to the responsible gaming section. Amanda, this is you again.
Yep, so we saw 104 VSEs in Q1, 32% increase over last quarter. Regarding our G-tool usage, we saw 8.35% of Massachusetts accounts used at least one RG tool and approximately 1% utilization of the timeout tools, with the majority of those individuals electing to participate in a timeout for 6 months or longer. If there's no questions on this slide, I'll pass it back to Adam for the lottery section.
So really just wanted to reiterate some of the ongoing initiatives that we have with the Massachusetts Lottery. I think we were one of the first operators to actually dive into it. So we maintain our existing promotion that includes some of our online customers being invited to come and redeem free Massachusetts Lottery tickets at our PPC property. This promotion that we've had, I believe for over a year now, continues to be successful. So if it's not broke, don't fix it. So we are reporting more of the same in terms of our engagement with the Massachusetts Lottery and how it relates to our casino brick and mortar property at PPC. And then lastly, Amanda here will sum it up with our community outreach and charitable impact section.
So during the quarter, we supported 2 organizations serving communities around our Penn Game Studios office in Greenland. We made monetary donations to the food bank of Western Massachusetts and Just Fruits, which, if you're not familiar, is a Greenfield-based nonprofit that operates one of the largest SNAP enrolled low-income farm share programs in the state via the Greenfield Community Farm. In January, we hosted a networking event with Women Hack at one of our interactive offices. And in February, we hosted a workshop exploring equity and inclusion in the workplace in collaboration with some other companies. So that's it for our presentation today. Is there any questions that Adam and I can answer?
Commissioners, I will say that, Adam, you're a friendly enough face.
Well, it's probably not going to be the last time they see or hear from me, but I'm excited to have Amanda take more of an active role to maybe get some more familiarity with you.
Well, welcome, Amanda. Welcome. Commissioner Skinner, I see your mute is off.
Yeah, Adam, I'm sorry to be slow to respond to your workforce diversity slide.
No problem. Shall I go back?
Yes, please. Also, I was sneaking a bite for lunch, actually, off camera there. That had my mouth full at the moment. But you talked about meeting or exceeding your target of at least 50% of new hires. Oh, new hires. That is the concept here. Because I was a little confused. I was looking for that number in the chart. And
apologies for
no,
confusion.
it was my nope, it was my misinterpretation. So my apologies. I'm all set. Thank you.
No problem.
All right. Any other questions, clarifications? All right. Well, thank you, Adam. Thank you, Amanda. We appreciate your presentation. I want to thank everybody who presented today. With that, anything else, Andrew?
No, that concludes all the presentations. Just a big thank you to all the operators for taking the time today.
Thank you. All right, commissioners, any commissioner updates?
Again, Mr. Chairman, I think a comment, I guess, I don't know if it's an update. It falls on my comments at our last meeting about prediction markets. The most recent news in the world of prediction markets is that Polymarket is coming back into the United States market after agreeing in 2022 to stay out, to leave the market and pay a $1.4 million fine. Recent developments, in particular, the Department of Justice and the CFTC dropping ongoing investigations into their activities has led them to expressing an interest in re-entering the market. The reason why I bring it up now is because everything we've heard today over the last 3.5 hours is really is a demonstration of the value of a legalized gambling industry with robust and fair supervision here in the Commonwealth. The other market, the prediction markets, we would not have any revenue that has been reported here. We would not have any information about their diversity or business practices. We would not have any control really over this. And I just know, particularly given the tax changes that I discussed last time, we really, while we're somewhat not empowered because the regulations on the federal side for the prediction markets, we definitely need to be cognizant of these developments going forward, because I do think they present a real challenge to the business model that has been very successful here in the Commonwealth so far.
Thank you, Commissioner Broder, for that update. And it's a good reminder that for those people, residents of the Commonwealth, if you choose to wager or choose to bet, it's our opinion at the Gaming Commission, I've heard it from everybody on this call, that our legal operators are the best place to do so. We have the most protections. We have insight into what's going on, and nothing's perfect, but again, it's the best bet, no pun intended. And also another second, we can remind people that Commissioner O'Brien and a few others put together that seal that goes on the bottom of the apps. So you can click that, it goes back to our website, so you can make sure it wasn't copy and pasted. And so again, if you're going to bet in Massachusetts, bet with a legal operator. Anything else, Commissioner updates wise? Commissioner Skinner?
Just to piggyback on that just a little bit, Dean Sarpa, our executive director, and I have been kind of having very, very preliminary discussions about what I think is a need for the commission to more broadly make the statement, Chair, that you just made relative to regulated operators. I think, we're only going so far. Making that kind of an announcement during the public meeting, I would like to see us create some sort of public service announcement so that we are reaching a broader audience, because, well, I mean, let's be honest, we're pretty boring during these meetings, and not everyone who, needs to know is tuning in, is likely to tune in to these meetings every other Thursday. So just throwing that out there. Again, haven't really discussed anything beyond just my opinion that we need to. And so I'm hoping we can sort of move the needle soon. Just in, again, trying to reach a broader audience, whether it's, billboards or advertisement on the, not advertisement, but just messaging on things like public transportation. I think that there's a lot more that we should and could be doing as regulator to ensure that the messaging that we want out there relative to the illegal market gets out there and gets to the right people and gets to more of the residents of the Commonwealth, not just those who just happen to tune in here or there to these meetings.
Thank you for that insight, Commissioner Skinner. And I know the commission will join you in thinking how best we can make sure that folks are using legal operators while at the same time balancing the fact that, we're not here to entice anybody to actually gamble, but if they are going to do so safely. Commissioner O'Brien.
Yeah, so we've had some sort of on and off conversations with the Attorney General's office, sort of in that vein. They do PSAs and consumer protection. So that's a topic of conversation that definitely, we can continue to get behind. And I know GameSense has done things like that in the past in sort of the broader context, kind of touching on what you just said, Chair. We don't want to advocate so much as inform and educate. So maybe something that when we have agenda this week, we figure out how to formulate and put on for something that we can keep on the radar.
Absolutely. And I know Commissioner Hill's been working closely on the youth sports betting initiative too, which includes pieces of that matter, at least for a specific age group. So with that said, Commissioner Broder, thank you for kicking us off on a robust conversation. That was probably the most interesting Commissioner Skinner Commissioner update we've had since I've been here 3 years. So maybe we're getting more interesting. Anything else? Any other matters? Do we have a motion to adjourn? Commissioner Broder, second. Commissioner O'Brien got that one. Commissioner O'Brien?
Aye.
Commissioner Hill?
Aye.
Commissioner Skinner?
Aye.
Commissioner Broder?
Yes.
And I vote yes, 5-0. Everyone enjoy the rest of your day. And I think we have another public meeting this week, right? Agenda set.